All right, welcome to the Krug Show, everybody. As we get things rolling after 49er football, the Niners win unbelievably. Fire up the band. Here we go. Welcome to the Krug Show. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, along the Monterey Peninsula. Call my friend Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264. And we are also, of course, brought to you the live stream sponsored by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Better to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. Download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners, and you'll get your first deposit matched up to $200. Everyone who does is automatically entered to win a free signed Fred Warner jersey. We'll announce the winner at the end of November. All right. We welcome in Kev. We welcome in Frank Red as we get things rolling here on the Krug Show. And the Niners, what a game. What a game that was. Very, very frustrating game for the 49ers. And they still come out with a victory. Jake Moody missed 3 field goals. They had a muffed punt. They had a fight between Deebo Samuel and
Oh,
Tabor
my God.
Pepper. They had, basically everything that could go wrong in this game did go wrong. The Buccaneers had no business, absolutely no business hanging in this game at all. They have no weapons. They had absolutely no passing game to speak of. And yet there it was at the end. The Buccaneers looked like they were going to win this game. Baker Mayfield threw for 116 yards in this game. Purdy threw for 353. And the Niners come from behind and they get the win, 23-20. Amazing last drive, guys. As Brock Purdy went to Jennings on the first play, and then he went to Pearsall on a big pass play. He went to Jennings on a huge play. And then Jake Moody kicks the 44-yard field goal, 23-20. The Niners escape with a victory in a game they really should have won by big, big numbers. Guys, what'd you think? What was your takeaway from this one?
I mean, there's a lot of ways we could take this, but that last defensive drive by the 49ers is something I've never seen something like that before. It's like the defense was playing. It felt like the defense was getting pressure on every play, but somehow the Bucs found a way to get a first down every single time. How about the Bosa holding on to Mayfield, dragging him for 5 yards, and then he finds White for a first down?
Well, I mean, what is Nick doing on that play? Are you dancing with him or are you playing football? It's like dive down at his legs and cut him down. I mean, he was literally smiling. I don't know if you guys saw the replay, but the replay shows Bosa with a gigantic grin as you haven't sacked him yet. I mean, this game was incredibly frustrating. I don't yell during games much. I yelled about 25 times in this game.
Same.
I don't do a lot of yelling, but it's just this game was ridiculous. Okay, the last drive for Tampa, 3rd and 7. Mayfield throws incomplete. Niners blitzed. Fred Warner face mask. What? Next play, 1st and 10 from the 32. Mayfield had basically the Niners were all over Mayfield, but they couldn't sack him. And then Malik Collins, I should say, gets called for roughing the passer. Penalty. Next play.
I thought it was just a weak. That was a weak call.
That was a terrible call.
What terrible call. Passer, he's trying to sack him. Like, what is it supposed to look like?
Right. I mean, seriously. I mean, and he's 319 pounds. I mean, come on. Now he's supposed to be some ballerina. And then the next play, 1st and 10 from the 14. White tackled by Bosa. Niners illegal hands to the face on Evan Anderson. I will say this. Evan Anderson on the 2nd and goal play. I mean, because now, think about this last Tampa drive. They're 1st and goal from the 9. They run instead of Bucky Irving, who's just impossible to stop. They run Rashad White instead in the 9, and he gets 4 yards. So now it's 2nd and goal at the 5, and you're thinking they're going to score a touchdown. This game's over. They're going to score a touchdown. And what happens? Evan Anderson blows up the play in the backfield and brings White down for a loss or for a no gain. I thought that was huge. And then Mayfield threw to Jarrett on 3rd and goal, incomplete, which set up their 26-yard McLaughlin field goal. But I thought Evan Anderson had just an absolute, it was illegal hands to the face on the play 2 plays before, but man, he sure made up for it on that 2nd and goal play by stuffing the runner at the, in the backfield. Just, I don't know. How would you have to be the Niners? Your kicker goes down. He's having a good year. You go to Matthew Wright. He goes 3 for 3. He gets hurt. The next couple weeks, you go to Anders Carlson. He goes 5 for 5. Your backup kickers go 8 for 8. You go back to Jake Moody. He misses 3.
Yeah, I don't think anybody watching or listening to the podcast now has that much confidence in Jake Moody.
No.
To his credit, he made the biggest kick of the game, but this is not a roller coaster. You have to do your job. And when you consider that you win and lose games in the margins, it's hard to be on pins and needles when you have a kicker who should be making routine kicks. So I'm happy that he made the kick. The team's plane ride home is going to be great, but 2-5, that's just not acceptable. No.
Kev, what did you make of the Tabor Pepper Deebo? It was an argument that elevated. It was after Moody missed the 44-yard field goal that he pushed right. Then we come back from the commercial, and Deebo is pushing Tabor Pepper, and Tabor Pepper's jawing at Deebo and trying to egg him on. Looked like Tabor Pepper wanted to fight Deebo. Deebo kind of disrespected Pepper a little bit by putting his hands in his face, and but kind of like, get out of here. What was your read on what happened there?
That was the peak of me thinking this team is crumbling. I thought we were watching the 49ers crumble in front of our eyes. We're watching Jake Moody miss a 3rd field goal, the special teams muffed punt, and then you have your own teammates. He's like punching him in the throat or like grabbing at his throat while Pepper's cussing him out. It's just at that moment in the game, I'm like, oh, are we gonna? This is a loss. Everything was going against the Niners, and it was just it's a bad look. It's a terrible look, and I don't know. The whole Jake Moody thing is it's honestly. It's terrible. Like, you draft him in the 3rd round, and now he's just this completely inconsistent kicker who you can't trust to do anything. So, what do you even do? And just
he's got a huge
what do you
leg.
do with the special teams? You've muffed a punt and gave him that's a 10-point swing. You missed a field goal and then muff a punt. Within a few minutes,
missed 3 field goals and muffed a punt.
Right.
Some people would say Schneider's fired. I don't know about that. It wouldn't be post game if we couldn't have some overreaction. Kyle's trash coach needs to go. Send Moody home as well. What a fucking joke he is. All right, thanks, Menace to the man. Woodpit 420 says he's defending his guy. So is it possible that maybe Deebo was yelling at Jake Moody and Tabor Pepper is backing Jake?
I couldn't.
Maybe what happened there?
I was trying to piece together, like, they showed his mouth moving. I think he was saying, shut the fuck up. It's like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck. So I'm sure Deebo was making some comment to Moody, and then they just started jawing. That's how I understood it.
Yeah. Well, who do you side with there? On one hand, you never want to talk down your teammates. So, by the way, in a normal game, in a normal post game, we were already 9 minutes into this thing. We would have talked already extensively about George Kittle, that amazing touchdown toe tap in the corner of the end zone. But in this game, it's like talking point number 14 or something. It's down the list. But how about that catch from Kittle, guys? He practices during special teams practice. Him and Brian Fleury, the tight ends coach, George doesn't like to waste time, so he doesn't have a role on special teams. So in the middle of special teams practice, he will literally get Fleury, and he'll have one of the ball boys, and he'll just keep crossing in front of Fleury and have Fleury draping himself all over Kittle, and then he tries to pretend that he's going to catch it and get his feet down, and he does this drill every day in practice, and then you guys just saw it right there. I mean, that's it right there. It's like, that's why you practice all that stuff. But that was an amazing, I mean, that there is something that you practice, right? You practice catching it and getting his feet down. I mean, there was no room there, and he got his feet down easily. I mean, it was just like catch, feet down, and it was only a foot there of the sideline. I mean, that was an amazing play.
I mean, it just also that goes to like show how this red zone offense is just. I mean, like, if that's the only red zone score of the day, it required a 9-second protection in the pocket where the offensive line is just doing their job and some. Purdy scrambling, throwing off one leg to Kittle with an inch of room on the sideline. That's your red zone touchdown. You can't score in the red zone besides that.
Joe G
still have problems there.
Joe G says fire Shanahan. Come on, why are we firing Shanahan?
Right.
Because this game was tough? Because the special teams isn't good? I mean, the Niner offense, put up 23 on this, Buccaneers defense that wasn't very good. But I'll give you this Buccaneers defense today. They played well. I mean, they played well. I don't know. I thought Purdy was not a great game from Purdy early. I thought Purdy was playing kind of one of his worst games, but statistically, it looks pretty damn good. 353 yards, 2 touchdowns. He ran 4 times for 17 yards, including a 10-yard run. I don't know what the numbers were on the final couple drives, but he was definitely at his best at the end of this game. And yet he almost fumbled the ball away, and Jennings saved him on the fumble.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, how would you guys evaluate Brock today?
I thought he was solid. He made some mistakes, but again, he was at his best in the end of the game when he needed to perform. And, I never felt that he was going to lose the game. I thought he was going to win the game. I thought that he managed the game properly in spite of his mistakes. It wasn't his best game. But like you said, the numbers are there. I thought he was okay. I thought he was solid, especially on the road. And I think that going up against Baker, who is a comp, they're similar but different. I thought he wanted to play well. I thought he rallied the team.
What'd you think, Kev? What'd you think of
Purdy? I thought Purdy played well. It wasn't his best game. It wasn't a bad game. I mean, look at the numbers. The numbers paint a picture of this guy had an all-time day. He had 353 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 119 passer rating, 25 of 36. I mean, that's pretty incredible. He threw for 69%. I mean, the numbers paint a different story than maybe some of the film. But he was great today over the middle. Over the middle, he thrived. The Pearsall catch. There were some Kittle catches. I mean, he played really well over the middle. And then the only negative I'll give him is that he still has this problem of holding on to the football. It happens a lot. He drops the football a lot. Now they got lucky; they didn't turn it over. But that's something.
Oh, I think you meant holding. I thought he held. You're saying he's not holding onto the football.
Yeah, he's dropping the football.
Yeah, but I would say, to me, I felt like there was more than one occasion today where I was like, get rid of the ball. You know what I mean? He seemed like he was a little slow in his processing today, or at least as far as getting the ball out of his hand. It just looked like the Bucs were getting close to him a couple times, and it's like, hey, the ball's got to come out. It didn't seem like, I don't know. I mean, there was one sack where Brady's like, hey, that was a coverage sack. So maybe there was some good coverage down the field. I'll have to wait and see when I see the all-22. But they flashed the stat late in the fourth quarter. Purdy on in-cutting routes, 6 of 6 for 94 yards and a touchdown or something like that. So he was doing. To me, the one thing I would say is I felt like a number of his balls kind of wobbled, and he didn't have a lot on them. I counted at least 4 or 5 balls in the first half that I thought, God, that was not a very good ball. But like on the first drive, he threw too high for Jennings on 2nd and 7, and then Brady said, "Hey man, he had Pearsall wide open, he never saw him." And then on the 3rd and 7 play on the first drive, he threw to Pearsall, and it was overthrown. So he came out and he overthrew Jennings and overthrew Pearsall on the first drive. I just thought Purdy, a couple of the Purdy passes today, I thought were really, really. Like, whoa, that thing really wobbled. That didn't have a lot on it.
I thought Baker had a bad day passing. He was all over the place. I don't know if you guys, did you guys notice that?
He didn't have great I mean, who's he going to throw to in this game, though? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I was surprised that looking at the numbers, I mean, Godwin and Evans went down against Baltimore a few weeks ago. They've actually thrown the ball more after those guys went down than before they went down, and I don't get it because I don't like their weapons. I mean, Cade Otton, Ryan Miller, Raheem Jarrett, Sterling Shepard, Trey Palmer. I mean, that's what you're. I mean, you got Bucky Irving, and you're running the ball, and you're, passing the ball as much as you are. I don't know. I mean, to me, the Bucs should have ran in this game. The Niners run D, especially on a hot day, 29 passes, 27 runs in a game that was close throughout the day for Tampa. I think if I were them, I would have run the ball at least 10 more times.
Well, up until late in the fourth quarter, they were trying, and there were moments when they were having success. I mean, White and Irvin were both doing pretty well, and then they kind of went away from it. Sterling Shepard, I think, has kind of resurrected his career a little bit. The Giants pretty much let him go. I think he wants to perform for Baker because Baker, you have to think Baker had a lot to do with him coming to Tampa Bay based on the fact they played Oklahoma together. So, and I like Otton too. I mean, I watched Otton last Monday night against KC. He performed pretty well, but collectively, you're right. Their wide receiving core is nothing to write home about. That's for sure.
I feel like we're seeing a trend right now with the Niners defense where they come out in the game looking fresh, looking hot, like making plays. And then towards the end of the game, they just kind of crumble a little bit. I mean, they didn't give us
hot today. Today was they're practicing in 50 and they go in and they're playing in 85.
Maybe they wilted. It seemed like White and Irving couldn't get a yard in the first half, and then in the second half, they're just breaking runs left and right, and they became the offense. And I don't know. Campbell had a couple nice plays, but I think that there's something there because if you look at the Niners statistically, they're one of the worst teams defensively in the third and fourth quarter. And today that was the case as well.
Well, and I think the young Tampa OC bailed them out. I mean, every time Irving was handed the ball, the Niners looked really nervous. And he went for 73 yards on 13 carries, and he had a touchdown. He went for 5.6 a carry. Mm-hmm. Rashad White, on the other hand, went for 3.1 a carry. And it just seemed like at the end of this game, obviously White's the veteran and Irving's the rookie. But, man, I'm really glad they went with White. A 13-10 split between Irving and White when Irving's almost going for 6 yards a pop. I mean, that was a gift. And then I'll say this. I was a little perplexed by the Niners. They come out with McCaffrey. He hasn't played in a while. He gets 19 touches, and Mason gets 1, and Correndo gets 1. I don't know. That to me seems short-sighted, but
I didn't agree with it, but it's right on cue of the 49ers running back coach. I mean, he's one of these old school grinder guys. And I was thinking about that because you look at Mason's numbers, and granted, he hasn't played as well the last couple of games, but you've seen his carries decrease and decrease and decrease. And, McCaffrey almost makes it easy on his coaches because he's a guy who's like, I don't ever want to come out. And then you see him on the field making plays that they haven't made from the running back core since the season started, and you don't want to take the guy out. But I would agree. I wanted them to bring him on a little slowly than they did, but he played well. I mean, he scares the opposition because he can do things that no one else can do.
I'll credit this Buccaneers front seven though, specifically Kalijah Kancey, who had 2 tackles for loss. They were pretty efficient in stopping Christian McCaffrey. He had 13 carries for 39 yards, 3 yards a carry. His longest run was 13 yards. So McCaffrey was limited to pretty much nothing on the ground. And I'll credit the Bucs defensive line. They came to play today.
It was pass catching.
What's that, Frank?
I think it was McCaffrey's pass catching ability.
Oh yeah,
that really
totally
changes the calculus of what the 49ers do. You're right. They stopped them running the football, but he's a threat all over the field. And when you have Kittle there and you don't have an alternative beyond the wide receivers, McCaffrey really changes the complexion of the 49ers offense.
No, I totally agree with you. There was a third down in this game. I think it was 3rd and 3, or I can't remember exactly when it was, but there was a dump off to McCaffrey where, if that's Mason, he probably gets tackled. But CMC was able to evade the defender and then just accelerate incredibly and get the first down. And like those are the type of plays that you don't really think about, but they mean a lot, getting those third down conversions late in games.
One guy I thought was a huge part of this victory today was Ricky Pearsall. I mean, Pearsall, this was his real coming out party. He now seems like he's ready to contribute. He was targeted 6 times. He caught 4 balls for 73 yards and a touchdown. Showed a little speed on the touchdown when he beat Antoine Winfield to the pylon. I like what I see from Pearsall. Obviously, Pearsall, the Niners are going to need their 2 rookie receivers. They're going to need Pearsall. They're going to need Cowing. They're going to need their dynamic big playability. But especially without Ayuk, I mean, they have to have another receiver who's ready to step up. Right. And Pearsall was ready for the moment today. And hopefully this is just the beginning of what we can expect on a regular basis. I thought I was very impressed by Ricky. What'd you guys think of him?
Yeah, man. I mean, I like the fact he catches the ball in the middle of the field also. And just intelligently, a lot of times he's already thinking football. He's trying to get out of bounds, preserve clock time. But yeah, I mean, he looked fine. He looked like the player that I saw at Arizona State and at Florida. He's unafraid, and he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he gets open, he catches the football, which is what Brock Purdy really feels comfortable with. Deebo is that type of player. Deebo can extend the field, but, he has a lot of confidence that Pearsall is going to catch the football. So I was impressed with him today as well.
I liked what I saw from Pearsall. It seems like every time he catches the ball, he looks better. And that progression is great to see. Also, just running with the football. Like towards the end of that touchdown, he like high stepped it, or not high stepped. He like kicked his leg up to like try to mess with the timing.
Little Deion Sanders. So,
yeah, but you only do that if you're comfortable with the ball. And so like he's kind of like Garendo. Like they're both very comfortable with the ball in space, making plays on defenders.
We welcome in the great Dan Coach Emilio, who joins us from behind a barrier wall. There's a guard. There'll be no home invasions where he is. He's very safe there in Arizona. Dan, thanks for jumping in. What'd you think of the game?
Sloppy. I thought Kyle was way too conservative. I thought Kittle could have been used a lot more over the middle. That's their Tampa Bay weakness in that defense. You could have just attacked it all day. They barely went to Kittle. Every time they went to Kittle, he made a big play. I don't understand it. Every time he went to Jennings, he made a big play. I also thought Brock, the ball didn't look crisp at all today. I don't know if it was slipping out of his hands.
I agree.
The humidity. His balls that he was throwing were just they were wobbly. They didn't have any crispness to them at all. And I think it was a lot of
this and not a lot of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They said that it was pretty high humidity. My guess is the balls were a little damp, little slick, and Purdy has trouble with rain, snow, and maybe humidity. Maybe his hands aren't big enough to grip the ball when it's not perfect feel.
There was one situation that I really felt like Kyle should have gone for it, and he went for the field goal. Was that they were 3rd and 10 on the 38, and Purdy went to Pearsall for 8 yards. So they got to 4th and 3 from the 31.
That was there before the half, right?
It was third quarter.
Yeah.
No,
this is second quarter. This is second quarter, late second quarter, only about a minute, inside of a minute. There was 29 seconds left when they kicked the 49-yard field goal. But I mean, or when they tried to kick the field goal, they missed it. And they set it up for Tampa, who had 3 timeouts left. And luckily, the Niners made enough plays and got off the field, and Otten dropped that key ball on 3rd and 5, and so Tampa had to punt, and the Niners ultimately kneeled down before the half and took it in 10-3. But I that one right there seemed very conservative. 4th and 3 from the 31, you're up 10-3. You're going to go up 13-3. I don't know. I mean, I know they weren't he wanted points because they weren't getting the ball to begin the third quarter, but man, that just seemed conservative. What'd you guys think of that call in real time?
I didn't like it either. I thought, you know what? You had a chance. You had the big play to get it down there. Was that who was that big play to? Was that Jennings that made the big play to on first down, got him into
Yeah,
medium
Jennings.
field goal.
They were on first and 10 on the 32. Jennings goes for 30, and then they're
to
first
me,
and 10 in on the 38 of the.
I was really pissed off, Larry. Really pissed off because you got 3 timeouts. Use them. You try and run and hurry. There's less than a minute. There's 35, 40 seconds. Use your stinking timeout and go for the touchdown. But Kyle plays it too dang conservative, and it almost cost him the ball game today. Call your timeout and go in for a touchdown. You still have 2 timeouts left. You're in the red zone almost.
There was also another huge mistake right there was on 3rd and 10 from the 39. Sam Aquinu jumps off sides and gave him a 3rd and 5. Now Baker Mayfield went to Otten, who dropped it on 3rd and 5, so they were forced to punt. They couldn't score, but I mean that could have been a very costly penalty from Aquinu. All right, guys, what do the Niners do with the special teams coach and with the kicker? Do you bring those guys back? Do you fire one? Do you fire the other? Do you move on?
I don't think
your
think
backup kickers went 9. Your backup kickers went 8 for 8, and your kicker today missed 3. You did invest a 3rd-round pick in him. He does have the strongest leg of the 3. They've always maintained that he's their guy because of the draft choice, I'm sure. But what do you do? I mean, I don't know. I mean, what do you do? Do you do anything, or do you just stay with Moody and stay with Schneider? And
they're going to not
cross
do
your
anything.
Fingers.
They're not going to do anything. Moody, I thought they should have kept Carlson for another week, especially hearing Moody's comments this week. Says, yeah, I'm trying to get back into shape. It's not feeling 100% right yet, but I'm getting there. Come on, dude. Why do you have to activate the doggone kicker when you got another kicker? He was on IR, or did they never put him on IR? They didn't put him on IR, did they? They should have just stuck him on IR and waited till he was 100% ready. To me, he looks like there's still a little soreness in that ankle, and he's compromising a little bit because he was hitting it well, but all of them were fading to the right, except the first one. I think he missed to the left, but they're not going to do anything. They're not going to cut Moody now after.
The question is, should they? I mean,
they?
What should they do? Because let's be honest here. If they go to Anders Carlson might make field goals, and he has, but Anders Carlson also doesn't have a very good leg, and you got to worry about kickoff returns. Right. If you go with Moody, he's going to kick it through the back of the end zone. Mm-hmm. He was 14 of 15, I believe, for the year coming into the game, so it wasn't like
bad day.
I mean, was this a bad? Was this just one bad day, or do you go back to Carlson and cut Moody?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't go back to Carlson at all because he's inconsistent. Last year he was terrible. He missed like 6 or 7 extra points for Green Bay. He missed the important field goal in the NFC division game against the Niners. I stick with Moody. Moody's a very consistent kicker. He had a bad day. And what did you guys think about that? Did you see Deebo yelling at Peppers and I think Peppers was sticking
I have a cut. This is Shanahan addressed that in the post game. I'll play that cut.
That is amazing.
You got it right here?
Yeah.
Or are you going to? Okay.
Yeah. I don't have much of a take because I didn't see any of it. So I just got told about it, but probably an obvious one. Guy's frustrated and something probably happened and, brother scuffle a little bit. I didn't see any of it, so I don't know how bad it was, but something I'm not too worried about. We'll fix it. If it hasn't been fixed already, we'll fix it on the plane and go back to loving each other tomorrow.
it is the heat of the moment. I mean, people see that kind of stuff and they're like, they have to get rid of Pepper. They have to, it's like, you guys don't, I don't know if you realize or not, but I mean, there's all kinds of arguments that just never see the light of day, never make it to the paper, never make it to the podcast, never make it to the public knowledge.
But what is
type
that
A
mean,
personalities, man? It's type A
mean,
personalities, and everybody's competing.
Like, let's just make the assumption Deebo's, jarring at Moody. What does that mean? That probably means that Deebo's like, fucking suck, or I don't know what he said, but he obviously said something about Moody.
He probably said, make the damn kick.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
hey, we're out here hitting each other, tackling and blocking. Make a fucking kick. You know what I mean? Something like that. And Tabor's like, hey, bro, you just got stuffed. You know, you ran 2 times for 5 yards and you can't get to the line of scrimmage on a fucking end around. How about pipe down? You know, something like that. Probably
the snapper, the holder, and the kicker are all they have their own little family. Okay, and you don't mess with that. You don't mess with that that group.
Your best friend is your long snapper, right, Danny?
He is. Your holder and snapper are truly your best friends as a kicker. So I know exactly what happened.
Like right now, you need someone to hold those glasses, and if you had your holder there, he would hold those glasses.
Exactly.
And that's why
the relationship in a wider screen today.
That's why the relationship is so tight.
What happened was Deebo got pissed. You know, the regular football players, the guys that go out and play as a kicker, you go out, you're not doing anything all week. You're just kicking. You're kicking, and a lot of the players will resent a kicker if he's not successful because they see the kicker as like, yeah, he's out there working, but he's not getting hit and he's not breaking his sweat like we are. He's just out there by himself on a side field kicking. I had this happen. I mean, I missed a kick one time, and the team got all over my ass. You know, on the bus ride home from we were.
By the way, we should tell people Dan used to go by Raphael Septien. He's now changed his name to Dan Cochimilio, but he used to go as Raphael Septien. If you don't know who's what's that?
Garrow, your premium.
Dan's Garrow, your premium, throwing the interception in the Super Bowl in an awkward fashion.
Yeah.
No, but the truth is
continue, Jan Stenerud.
Yeah, they made a comment. It was frustration. Deebo and Peppers took offense to him getting on Moody. That's all that happened.
Right.
On the Moody thing though, he's only missed one kick. He only missed one kick this season before this game, but I think the problem is that he's legitimately something's legitimately off with his kicking right now because even the ones that he made, he barely made. It was
not
it was by a foot. So there's something wrong. So then would you make the consideration of like do we rest him for another week? I don't know. Like what do you do? Because if other guys in the street are going to kick better, I mean, it could cost you a game. These are like actually serious decisions.
Well, I think go ahead, Frank.
No, I just think you need to have competitive practices. I mean, you still got some of those guys around, right? Did they send them down the road, or are they still around? Those kickers that they were
waived, right?
Yeah, I mean they're waived. They're on the street somewhere. But I mean, the question is this: it's in the old days, like as of like last year, let's just say, all that mattered was who makes the kicks, right? But now you've got this new rule where you can kick it through the back of the end zone, and if you don't, you're at a huge competitive disadvantage because every other team in the league is kicking it through the back of the end zone. So now you're asking your coverage unit, which is, as we know, not the strength of the team, to then play coverage on a play that, they don't even see that often. They haven't defended that much. It's like, so it's now there's like 2 factors for kickers. It's not just who makes the kick. It's like who makes the kick and who can kick it through the back of the end zone. Jake, we know, can kick it through the back of the end zone. Yep. And in a short sample size, we know that Anders Carlson can make field goals. So in the old days, you'd be like, I don't give a crap about the kickoffs. Give me the guy that makes field goals. But now it's like that's a huge factor. So I don't know. I mean, the other elephant in the corner of the room is that John Lynch and the Niner front office, invested a 3rd round draft choice in the kicker. So it's not going to be like every other team that says, screw it, we'll get rid of our kicker, we'll go get a new kicker. They made a sizable investment. They're going to get heavily criticized the moment that they cut Jake Moody. Right.
He's not getting cut. I see the super
I don't think so
chat.
either.
I see the super chat. I got my name came up in the super chat. That's cool. Moody has been consistent. He was 14 of 15. That's 93%. Okay. I mean, your field goal kicker makes 93% of your kicks. You're going to be happy with him, and he kicks the ball out of the end zone. Okay. He had a bad day. I personally don't think he's 100%. And I think the Niners have it on them for bringing him back because they wanted Tashawn Gibson. And so they cut Carlson to make room for Gibson, right?
But I mean, once Moody, I mean, you're not going to use 2 guys on an active roster for.
No,
kickers.
I just think Moody needed another week.
Yeah.
to heal.
No, I know. It did. If you'd asked me when he had the ankle sprain, when he'd be back, I would have thought it would have probably been closer to Thanksgiving. And
Yeah.
to me, it was a little bit surprising that he was, it's a high ankle sprain. Most of the time, a high ankle sprain is like 6 to 8 weeks, and it hasn't been 6 to 8 weeks. So maybe they do have to. Well, of course, now if you put him, you put him on the sideline, he's going to take that as you don't believe in me. So that might be a risky thing to do. I mean, if you're going to put him on the side like that and go back to Carlson, you might want to just
like,
cut
what's
him.
the rush to get Moody back on the field? Like, why are we like, oh my God, we need to get him back ASAP? It's like you were perfect without him. You know, like what's the point? And now you can't put him back on IR because he doesn't have an injury. And it's just like, and even Kyle Shanahan said in the presser, he was like, it's like, yeah, usually that would sideline you for longer, but Moody like came back quick. So it's like, did he rush back? Maybe, because he doesn't look the same.
He impacts special teams, though. He does. I mean, knowing that he can kick the ball through the end zone and kickoffs, that's a big deal because of the obvious. The 49ers don't have a great special teams. I think it was more nerves, to be quite honest. I mean, he knows how to kick, but when you look at his short, brief history, he's missed pressure kicks. He's made some, but he's missed some. So I think it is just him kind of. He could talk about, well, I'm not physically there yet. I would think to myself, is he mentally there yet? Sometimes it takes you time to see the ball go through the uprights in game situations. Fortunately for the Niners, they actually won the game, which is good. And he made the defining kick to win the game. So they're going to keep him. I think he's going to be okay. But I think he was a little nervous. I do.
If Frank and Kevin, Danny, if Moody had missed
the
last one,
been walking home.
God, oh my God,
would he have gotten on the plane?
He would have been deactivated next week. He wouldn't play against Seattle. I know that.
Remember when the Cowboys cut Maher in the playoffs because he like missed 4 extra points, whatever it was?
I mean, so
that would be like this scenario. That'd be the scenario.
So we're gonna stick with him. But if you missed 3 are okay, but you missed 4, you're not okay.
Well,
Kyle Shanahan said in the post game, he said you're only as good as your last kick.
So, yeah, the winning kick counts for more than the kicks you missed earlier in the game.
This was Shanahan on post game. I just want to play this. It's on Cambier.
I basically said I knew they were going to be ready to play. Our guys were. We had a great week of practice. But I was just glad that they were ready to battle because that game was a battle. I told them last night, don't expect this game to be fun. It's going to be grimy out there. It's going to be sticky. This team that is playing too desperate. It's a good team that's lost some games, some close ones, and they're a day before their bye week. So we knew we were going to get their best shot. I thought we had opportunities to run away with it. We didn't. That was on us. But I was so proud of the guys in all 3 phases, how they rebounded. I mean, just the struggles, those 2 struggles in the red zone, coming back and making that big one by Brock and Kittle there. I think it was second and goal from the 10. The struggles on special teams, mainly with the missed field goals for Jake to come back at the last one there's much pressure on him as you could imagine on anyone with missing those 3 in the game. And for him to drill that was huge. And even I didn't put the muff punt on Jake. He's got to catch it, but just Lude get in his way. He's got to get out of his way. That's a problem. But him to come back and make a big play, returning it later. And the defense, who I thought was solid all game, but those huge penalties on that last drive, to have those, you can just see the way it's going. For them to still hold them to a field goal, I thought was huge. And it gave us a chance to answer there at the end.
There you go. Well, once again, the bright side brought to you by Better. That was the bright side, man. I mean, talk about, we watched 2 different games there. No, seriously. I mean, it all sounds pretty good. I mean, not just another, as Krug would say, just another, blankety blank laugher. Wow. I mean, life of an NFL head coach. If he misses it, misses that field goal, they lose this game. It's like, well, you know what? We got problems. We got to address them. We're gonna have a light plane coming back because we're gonna cut a bunch of guys here. Instead, you know what? You're as good as your last kick, and all is right with the world. And now Jake Moody's interviewing on KTVU. Oh wow! It just goes to show. All right, let's hit some supers because we got them backed up here, and we don't want to get them too backed up. Clarence Beeks says, "I stand with Deebo." Okay, there you go. He stands with Deebo. We don't even know what was said, so I'm not sure if that's wise. John Muniz says, too late to call Robbie Gould to see what he's doing? Yeah, Robbie
I
Gould.
think that's long gone.
I think Robbie Gould be like 2029, and people be like, Robbie Gould. Robbie Gould is living in a 55. He's Danny's neighbor in the 55 and over community. Sammy, your mammy, says 49er special teams are absolute trash. He's using the technical term.
Hey, guys, was it Luter last year in the Super Bowl that got the ball tipped Luter on that punt?
Yep. Went off his foot.
Keep Luter as far away from blocking on the Gunners. Come on, find a different position for Luter. He screwed up twice now.
Well, yeah, we might want to have a emergency meeting. There's not a lot of time on the flight. Maybe on the flight. Maybe over Montana. Claude Daddy Vending. Bosa looked lethargic. Moody is worse than Carlson. Special teams coach needs to be fired. Brock's passes lacked zip. Jennings was superb. Jennings was incredible. How money is Jennings? Jennings is just such a money player. Rich S. There was an interview 2 weeks ago when the great Jerry Rice said if teams were playing poor, they would be fighting each other on the sidelines. It happens. Oh, there's pressure, man. There's pressure in these games. I think it might have been over the election. It could have been that Pepper said, "Hey, look, you guys didn't win Montana," and Deebo said, "All the precincts are not in." No, I don't think it was about the election. Come on, Friday says, we did think the dude broke his ankle 4 weeks ago in replay. You can tell he's not right. His gate to kick approach looks off. Well, then if we can see that, and come on Friday, you can see that, then how come Schneider, Shanahan, Lynch, and all their assistants can't see that during the week of practice and say, you know what, Jake, we'd like to bring you back here, but we're not seeing you quite the same. So we're going to go one more week with Anders Carlson. Obviously, if you could see it, I couldn't really tell by the way he approaches the kick if his ankle's right or not, but obviously he didn't make him. We welcome in Damon as well. We're talking about, of course, the 3 missed kicks. John Muniz says need to make what's going on. Let me just get through a couple more of these and then we'll get back. John Muniz says need to make special teams practice longer ASAP. Juan Mendoza, I know we won, but less McCaffrey, more Garendo and Mason. I agree with that. I thought that was very disappointing today. Valentina Luna, Twinkle Toe, Kittle, third, and Juwan Pearsall touchdown. Those guys all stepped up without Brandon Ayuk for sure. Tree Man, McCool, Jackson. Moody is better at giving us heart palpitations and high blood pressure than field goals. Jason Shayer. Baker was awesome on the last drive. Baker was good all day considering what he had around him, and then he lost Wirfs. They were getting rid of it quick. Carnelio 49ers, can we fire the special teams coach, please? Fuji Simeon, what letter grade would you give the 49ers? I would say a C-. You got the win, but other than that, there was lots of red ink on this paper. Heck Dells is Vikings kicker off the couch. Fuji Simeon, was Moody still hampered by his ankle, or is it mental? Was it humidity for the Purdy wobbly passes? I don't know. What did you guys? Was there any reason for Purdy to not be throwing a good ball today? I only thought he threw a few what I would say typical balls. A lot of them seemed to flutter. A lot of them he came out throwing high. He just seemed like his ball lacked some zip, and it seemed like it kind of had a weird trajectory. What did you guys see with Brock?
I saw that, and I saw that. I think it's his grip on the ball. I think the ball was probably a little bit slick just because of the humidity. And if he doesn't have a really good grip on it, it's sliding off the end of his fingers and it's going high.
A couple of weeks ago, I had on Dan Minuch, who was his high school quarterback coach. And Dan Minucci, who is from Arizona, he's a sports talk show host there. And he said, look, the very first thing he had to do with Brock is to work on those passes not sailing high. And they were sailing high again today. It's, if you're asking what is the one, point of emphasis that Brock needs to have drilled into him over and over, is don't let that ball go high. Kittle today on that double catch ball, that could have been a medicine ball, a hospital ball, if someone were right there to put their shoulder pads in his rib cage. Yeah, Purdy's got to get that under control. He really does. They survived the day, though. And that's all they needed to do. Anyone who came to today's game to be impressed by the 49ers left unimpressed by the 49ers. But there were a few things that I think were good, Larry. Christian McCaffrey's back in the room with over 100 yards from scrimmage his first game back. That can't be bad news. Ricky Pearsall is developing in a good way.
Yeah.
I think it's disappointing that Isaac Guerrero and, Jordan Mason were totally forgotten. Were they left in Santa Clara? How come they get no football when Christian McCaffrey's back to play a little football? Jennings was great. Kittle was great. The defense actually had a better day than anyone wants to admit. All those penalties, though, on that final drive. I mean, if anyone's got any fingernails left, it's a miracle. That was a nail biter for the Niners, but they got it. They needed it. I don't know where they're going this year. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it was a win. It was a win that they had to have, but there was enough, positions and moments of vulnerability and failure that it's like, you know what? I don't know how I feel about them. I feel pretty good about Brock. I feel pretty good about Christian coming back. I thought the Niners offensive line had some good moments in this game. Banks had a beautiful block on one of the McCaffrey runs. McCaffrey looked great. Kittle looked great. Pearsall's coming on, but Bosa was not very good. They didn't get a lot of push up front. This is not a good Buccaneer offense. And without Mike Evans and without Chris Godwin, I mean, if they had Godwin and Evans, they win this game easily.
Look, does that Nick Bosa non-sack of Baker Mayfield go down as one of the greatest plays of Baker Mayfield's life? I mean,
it was a great play by Baker.
One for sure.
Oh my God. I mean,
dive at his legs, though. You've got him all up high and you're running with him and you're smiling. You're the bigger, stronger, more explosive guy. Dip down and dive at his legs. I mean, walk. He must have been gassed. He had to be gassed right there.
No, I think someone said at the end of the game that Bosa said that he was trying not to get a horse collar or something like that, or he was trying not to get a penalty.
What would have happened if he had his left hand as he was holding on to his forearm, if he just yanked it backwards and kind of, made Mayfield kind of, like wince in pain, could have affected his pass. I think he could have just yanked on that arm. He was just holding on to it while he was being pulled by Mayfield. I
mean, who's faster? Baker moving to his left, looking to throw, or Bosa? Bosa should be faster. Bosa should have been able to dive down. He looked like he was fatigued. How many, Kev, is a snap count out? How many snaps for Bosa? Because it was 85 degrees and it is November.
You got to give me a sec.
My guess is he played too many snaps. Let's hit a couple more supers. Fuji Simeon says, Dan, how was the fall league all-star game? Did you go to the fall star game?
No, I didn't go.
Okay, I taped it. I will see. I'll watch it later. John Muniz, in my opinion, not a good win. Tampa Bay was on a short week where they played overtime on Monday. We got our stud back and still can't score. What is the problem? Yeah, I mean, I really thought, the Niners at the beginning of this game, you heard Brady and Burkhardt commenting, man, the Niners look fast. The Niners look fresh. Niners look, yeah, in the first 5-6 minutes of the game, the Niners defense looked fresh. In the second half, you couldn't tell which team had the bye and which team played on Monday night and was on the short week. So I kind of wonder about their conditioning a little bit, or maybe it's just the heat of Florida in November. You practice in 50 and you play in 85. Maybe that takes a toll. I don't know.
Maybe it's the gut-sucking reality that no matter how well you play over the course of a game, something is going to go wrong on special teams that takes all your effort and just annihilates it in one particular afternoon. What is going on with special teams? This is beyond. Forget about Moody's even missed kicks. This Jacob Cowing sucks. Just get Trent Taylor to do that. Get somebody else to do something other than fuck up every week on special teams.
I'd put that one on Luter. Luter hit it, right? It hit off Luter's back. Yeah,
right, but then
still, I agree. It's bad. It's bad.
How is this not? How is it that the Niners make this look like such an impossible to solve task? Like, just clean it up a little. just clean up special teams a little. And week in, week out, there's an argument to be made that they're actually getting worse. It's something they're objectively horrific at in the first place.
I tweeted out 49ers special teams aren't very special. Aren't very special right now. I don't, and if you're not willing, I mean, I don't know. I mean, is the answer to dump the coordinator? Maybe, maybe not. Is the answer to go back to Anders Carlson? Should they go back to Anders Carlson? Carlson was 5 for 5. Moody missed 3 field goals today. But Carlson's going to kick it to the 10. Moody's going to kick it through the back of the end zone. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
Look, I got a bunch of people saying that wasn't on Cowing. He does nothing spectacular. I mean, you were halfway through.
Cowing had one nice return for 30 yards, though.
One nice return.
30 yards.
There you go.
We got to utilize him a little bit more. But yeah, Cowing, at least the one thing I'll say about Cowing is it looked like the ball was going to get popped out there. And right as they're converging on him, you saw him bring that second hand around the football and lock it up. So at least he's aware that they're going for the ball.
But one thing doesn't do enough. I mean, get Trent. Just get somebody who can catch the ball. That's it. If the whole style of special teams is just don't make a mistake, then get somebody out there who's not going to make a mistake. Luter,
I kind of agree. If you're not going to, if your whole mindset is don't lose the game, then why are you messing around with speedy rookies when you have Trent Taylor? Why?
Sign Jerry Rice and just let him fair catch balls all day. Jerry could still do that. Just
I think Cowing, I like him when his return because he's shifty. But the one thing I've noticed about Cowing all year is he runs so forward that he's constantly falling down.
Right. He doesn't keep his feet.
He's so low that he doesn't have any balance to keep up. That one today where he ran it back pretty good. If he could have stayed up on his feet, he might have broke it to the house.
He's having a hard. I mean, and anybody who's watched all of his stuff this year, he's slipped and fallen 2 or 3 times, so he has a hard time keeping his feet. Fuji Simeon says Baker's stiff arm on Bosa on 4th down. Yeah, I mean, once again, you're Nick Bosa. I mean, I realize you want to avoid the penalty, but dive at that guy's legs and cut him down right there. Heck Dell says it is ironic that the team that goes for it on 4th we beat in the playoffs is the team we need to be. Oh, yeah. You're talking about the Eagles, probably.
No.
Fuji Simeon, thoughts on Deebo Tabor scuffle? And we kind of covered that. You heard Shanahan refer to it. It would be a big deal if it happened in the side office at Deloitte and Touche. If you had an accounting firm and that same scene kind of played itself out, there'd be meetings and HR and what. But for football, those guys probably will sit next to each other on the flight and they'll be fine.
Tabor Pepper was interviewed after the game, and he said that Deebo came up to Jake Moody after the missed kick and told him to quote lock in, and that Tabor was mad because he knows what he has to do and whatever. Yeah,
well, I figured it was it was something from Deebo to the kicker. The kicker failed. Deebo and Tabor.
No one's mad at the long snapper.
yeah, and Tabor's part of the kicking trio, right? There's the snapper, the holder, the kicker. So they practice together, they sit together, they're very tight, and I'm sure he just was like, hey, look, you're not perfect. Don't add more pressure to his situation by getting in his face. But I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Would you rather a teammate challenge his teammate and get in his face and be like, hey, lock in, let's go? Or are we in a touchy-feely 2024 where that's not constructive?
Yeah, I don't have
constructive criticism.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I mean,
really.
Basically what they're saying is that we're not all close friends. We're employees trying to get a job done, and it's not personal. Now, Deebo, from his perspective, he has to be willing to be criticized also. How long has Tabor been around?
A number of years. I would say maybe
he's played on 11 different teams.
Yeah. Okay.
He's been with the Niners for a while. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then it's like, you know what? Hey, man, we're all pros. The onus is on Moody to do your job. Everything is in the balance. Now, was it anxiety in the in the moment? Yes, it was. And hopefully Deebo at the end of the game said, you know what, dude, I effed up. I was heated. I want to win the game. I apologize. Let's move forward. But this type of stuff happens all the time. This is nothing special. It was just on film.
Guys barking at each other is no
Steve
big deal.
Kerr's
I don't like him
face.
putting his hands on anybody, though. You know, get your hands off Tabor Pepper's neck, for fuck's sakes. That's a bit much.
Telling someone to lock in is like a more appropriate way of saying like you fucking suck. So I'm kind of on Deebo's side here. Like it's okay. You can tell someone to lock in. I mean, it's like you don't have to. No one's gonna cry about that. You know.
Yeah, I agree, Damon. Nobody should be touching each other, but just saying, yo, get your shit together, dude. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, that's your job.
There's harsh communication in, you get a bunch of type A men, men with type A personalities all together. You put some pressure, some stress, some money on the line, everything that goes along with it. There's going to be pressure points, man. You could feel, have you ever listened to a radio show when there's an awkward segment or something really is getting seriously discussed? If there's like a crackling, it's like the radio's crackling, right? And you can hear every breath, every intonation. It's like, oh my God, these guys are mad at each other. There's intensity here. It's just that moment was kind of like the same thing. You could feel like the Niners melting down, and then you come back from the commercial and there's Pepper and Deebo, and they're exchanging physical this and that and verbal this and that. And it's like, whoa. Is this
I'll say this about scuffles with teams. With poor teams, it could break a team up. With good teams, it doesn't affect them. The Oakland A's used to fight in the 70s all the time. They'd have brawls in the clubhouse.
The Bronx Zoo Yankees.
Yeah. Mark, or how about Steve Kerr and Michael Jordan in practice? I mean, Kerr took a shot to the face.
Dan Coach Emilio and Eric on NorCal Sports Network. I mean, it happens. I mean, guys throw hands. Guys, all of a sudden we're talking Nina Pinta, Santa Maria. All of a sudden there's battleship discussion, and things get testy. All right. We got this one. I think I can answer this one. 33 King Major. Has any coach ever been fired this late in the season? And he throws in son, but I think he meant season. I think wasn't Mike Singletary? Didn't Tom Sula coach for one game at the end of a season? And wasn't that Singletary? Was it Singletary that got dumped for Tom Sula?
Yes. Tom Sula
right?
came in as the interim. Chip Kelly was hired as the next coach, and then Tom Sula comes in after Kelly.
Crazy.
No. It went Harbaugh, Tom Sula, Kelly. But I think before Harbaugh, it was Singletary, and I think it went Harbaugh, one game of Tom Sula. I think Singletary might have been fired. Then Harbaugh. Harbaugh,
including him. I thought that was obvious.
Tom Sula or Singletary, a game or two, or Tom Sula maybe one. Then Harbaugh, then back to Tom Sula. Yeah. But I'm sure it's happened a few times. I think it's happened a few times.
I mean, that was amazing. Tom Sula got this big contract. I mean, dude's probably like sitting in a mansion somewhere now.
I know. I mean, that except for the NFL's got the offset language. So if you take a new job, you don't get double pay. T5 says Carlson was signed by the Jets. All right, there you go. Okay. Anders be gone. We're not going back to Anders. Propa says, can we please stop giving Deebo the ball for runs and jet sweeps? Amen.
He's fooling no one.
Done.
He doesn't get anywhere. I mean, you hand it to him. He takes a couple strides. It looks kind of good. And then you look up and you're like, he's always trying to work his way back to the line of scrimmage. He's not working downfield at all. But if you go back to those early Deebo runs when they first used him as the wide back, when he turned the corner, he was already like 4 or 5 yards down the field, and then it would be just a monumental, huge play. When was the last time a Deebo jet sweep or end around produced 10 yards? Forget 40 or 20, just 10.
There was one today. There was one that actually popped for a first down today, and that's about it.
Yeah, but then the
first drive.
Yeah, that had been early. Because they tried it again late and it didn't go anywhere.
By the way, I know that there's been talk about Brock Purdy, the fluttering ball, the this, that, the other thing, not impressed. Today, Brock Purdy had his single best day in yardage. 353 is the most he's thrown for in any game. His 36th attempts tied his season high, which came back in the loss against Minnesota all the way back in week 2. So he threw the ball 36 times for more yards than in any other game. His 9.8 average is his third highest passing average of the season. His quarterback rating of 119.3 is among his best of the season. So, good scrambling, 4 carries, 17 yards. Brock Purdy and the 49ers offense frustrated because, as always, they had red zone issues, but they moved the shit out of the ball. For those who were in my chat during my live stream saying, no, Kyle's got to go. He's all out of ideas. He can't produce like he used to. It's another 400-yard day of offense for the 49ers offense. I mean, I understand and I hear everyone's frustrations with this offense. But it's still, even on a frustrating day, isn't as bad as some people would make it out to be. And that is where I think everybody's going nuts and confused about what they're actually seeing here. We still don't know how to interpret this.
It's interesting. I'm looking at his stats, first half, second half. First half, Brock Purdy, 10 of 16, 153 yards, touchdown, 1 sack, a 114.8 rating. In the second half of this game, he was 15 of 20 for 200 yards and a touchdown and a couple of sacks. 15 to 20, that's 75%. 75%.
He nearly fumbled the game away too. So there's a lot of, how about this? Yeah. Anyone who wants to rip the 49ers today, you got an awful lot of ammo to do that with. Anyone who wants to say, hey, point to the win, they won and actually had some good performances that you might have to go into the box score to actually see, that person's right too.
Yeah.
So
it's a smorgasbord. There's a little bit for everybody today.
Absolutely there is.
You want to be happy? Go over to the right. You want to be miserable? Take a seat to the left. And there's plenty to chew on. Fuji Simeon says, LOL, have Tabor and Deebo sit next to each other on the plane. If Deebo missed that game winner, Shanahan would have beat Moody's ass himself. LOL. It's no big deal. They'll get over it. But I'm sure they will have to, I'm sure, I mean, if Tabor, who's one of the leaders on the team as well, if he felt strongly enough about what happened there to go tell everybody what happened, that means all the cards are going to be put on the table. Everybody's going to have to be big boys and address it. And these guys are going to have to, kiss and make up, and they will. And they will. I think they will.
Winning's the ultimate deodorant. Nothing stinks after a win. Every time in sports, winning cures all. Had they lost this game, there would have been an awful lot to bubble over and pick on. They win the game, come home, beat Seattle. That's all that's left.
I've heard people who travel with the team say that when they win and they're on the other side of the country, people are like, we love it because that means they'll have more time to bond on the airplane coming back. He said that, if you're gonna lose a game, it's better for it be a short flight, a short flight, and you're back soon. $4.99 says Claw Daddy Arcades donates $4.99 to say Dan Coach Emilio needs to be cut or muted. LOL. Saying Moody is consistent either means he knows nothing, is blind, or forgot about it last season. First of all, that's very sensitive because Dan is blind.
That really hurt. He was 14 of 15 going into the game, though.
Dan eats a lot of lumpia during these games, and the lumpia gets to your vision. And you can look it up. It's in medical journals. Heck Dell says, who's hoping for Trey Lance playing time today? Against Dallas and Philly. Jim Mole, what's up, Jimmy Mole? He says, we've all had sloppy wins. Know what I mean, boys? But you never feel good about it, though. And last time a kicker goes before the third round. Yeah, no more. No, I don't care if the guy is, he's a kicker. He's a punter. I don't care if the Shohei Ohtani of kickers shows up in the draft next year. I do not want a kicker on day 2 of the draft. You know what I mean? Sam, I am. I don't want him. I don't want a kicker in the third round I don't care how good he is. I don't care what he does.
What would the Shohei Ohtani of kickers look like? Would he
can
also
kick
punt?
and punt?
He
Kick and
kicks,
punt.
he
Yeah.
kicks and punts and holds. He can do it all.
He snaps the ball to himself. It's incredible. Don't even need Tabor Pepper anymore.
I mean, there's going to be a kicker punter guy. You know, there's going to be some kicker punter who's just awesome.
Maybe like a
Yeah.
kicker quarterback.
Black Caesar says, forget scrutiny. We need dependability. Yeah, I mean, no question. Propa says Moody has always been a liability. Nobody trusts this guy in close game kicks. Don't care what his stats are. It's the truth.
There's something
the
there.
guy missed. Yeah, I mean, the guy missed an extra point in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know, that hurt. D Martinez 949. Kyle looks burned out. He needs an OC. I don't know if he needs an OC. I think he kind of is the OC. He definitely looks burned out. I mean, he looks chewed up, doesn't he? With the long hair and I mean, look at the picture of his introductory press conference. I mean, it looked like his high school graduation photo compared to the way he looks now.
Right, he looks like me now.
Now it's like this is Kyle Shanahan for IneedAnap.com. Propa says if Deebo gets the ball in the backfield, you just know we're getting 2 yards max. Yeah, I mean, it's just so kind of the way it is these days. Bill M says 3 receptions by Kittle. Why? Yeah, I mean, that was the other meat left on the bone in this game. The Buccaneers really didn't look good against tight ends this year, and
Terrible.
I thought Kittle would have had a monster game, and every time they went to him, he did have a monster game.
Yeah.
They have to utilize George more going
He should have
forward.
had 8 to 10 targets today.
It's tough because he's also a damn good blocker, but they got to use him. He's without Ayuk. They got to have him. Fuji Simeon says, Larry, my SI friends say only Sacred Heart alums accept 93%. LOL. Wildcats want 100%, and us Reardon guys will settle for passing 70%. Congrats, Larry. St. Ignatius was ranked higher than Reardon. There you go. Go Cats. Get them Cats. Go get them Cats. Dimitar Dimitrov says Jennings and Pearsall are greater than Deebo and Ayuk. Just add Cowing for deep, and we can beat anyone and turn every game around. Whoa, what do you guys think? Well, first of all, Ayuk's out, and Ayuk is the best of all 4 of those guys right now. But what do you think? Jennings is more dependable, and Pearsall is got some nice wiggle to him. I think I'd probably still go with Deebo and Ayuk.
I think I'm drafting Juwan Jennings before I draft any of those guys. Juwan Jennings shows up on game day all the time. We haven't seen enough of game days out of Ricky Pearsall to say he shows up, but 3 weeks in a row, you know, he good debut, better in his second game, scores a touchdown in his third game. Give me more Pearsall for sure. Look, Deebo's not going to be on the team next year. I think he's playing himself off this roster. Right?
I don't know. I would have agreed with you at the beginning of the year, but didn't they kind of move his deal around and now it's kind of structured differently? I think there's a chance that he is back next year. Ayuk, of course, is not going to.
Yeah, they can't really cut him they can't cut Deebo without taking a huge hit.
Yeah, they've kind of set it up so it's going to be a painful cut. And Shanahan loves Deebo. I know what you're saying, though. At the beginning of the year, it definitely looked like this was it for Deebo. But now, with Ayuk probably not going to play, my money would be on Deebo does play here next year. But we'll see. I mean, that's an offseason.
I don't think Ayuk's ever going to be the same.
Well, I mean, that's. Well, by the way, JJ almost took a hit. I thought that was kind of a dirty play, where he almost looked like he had the same kind of Ayuk type hit to the knee, where like without even looking, somebody took him out.
Was it to the knee or more to the rib area?
Well, to me, it seemed like his knee bent in a weird area. Now, it didn't look good.
Bosa's flank got caved in on a crackback block that sent him flying in this game. Juwan Jennings, who had a great day, his biggest play was that fumble recovery.
Yeah.
If he doesn't jump on that fumble recovery, I don't know if the Niners have won today.
Right.
And you know what that fumble recovery is about, too? You don't fall on fumbles like that unless you live for the W. And that's what makes Juwan Jennings. He shows up. He's like Brock. He doesn't care about the stats. It's all about the W. The more I think about it, Jennings is more dependable. Like if the Niners played in the Super Bowl tomorrow, Juwan Jennings would make plays. If the Niners played in the Super Bowl tomorrow and everybody was healthy, I don't know if Deebo and Ayuk would make plays. I know JJ would make plays. Dasim South Jers says Leonard Floyd doesn't put much effort into getting a sack. Need a better defensive end opposite Bosa. Yeah, he's an older guy. I mean, I'll say this: he's had 4 years in a row of 9+ sacks, and this year he's on a pace for far less than that. So, that it seems like that's the Niners' MO. It's like they keep going for these guys, and then they just, Chase Young had a big name but didn't do anything. Randy Gregory, same, and now we're seeing Leonard Floyd, who's been great for 4 years. He's getting 10 sacks a year, 10 sacks a year. This year, not as much. So
Bosa didn't even look. I don't think Bosa even looked that good today. He had 0 pressures going into the fourth quarter. He had 2 in the fourth quarter, and they came in big moments. I mean, he didn't even get that. He didn't get the sack on Baker, but 2 pressures today from Bosa.
And he's out there playing against Justin School for most of the game too.
Right.
When
Yeah,
Worth
Worth
went out,
went
you
out.
figure he's going to go nuts, and that didn't happen.
Did you guys recall at all the Niners blitzing once? I didn't see him blitz.
They did.
And
They
Mayfield,
won a bit blitz.
Yeah.
maybe once or twice. But why are you not blitzing on Mayfield, who has no mobility?
I'll be
Hardly,
right back.
with
I'll
his
be right
toe.
back.
I mean,
He
Mayfield.
has some mobility.
He does, but he's hurting, so he's not moving as well as he normally does. I would make him scramble, get him, But it just seems like a lot of vanilla defense on with Sorensen's calls. They don't seem to put pressure. I watch a lot of games. It seems like a lot of teams, blitz a lot more, put more pressure on the quarterbacks. I mean, they were getting to him in the second half, but they couldn't bring him down, which was crazy.
I think
Because there was only 4 guys in there.
Warner was blitzing on the play where he got called for the face mask,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yep.
I thought the Niners would have been all over Mayfield today because they have no pass catchers. They have no one, and I thought that the Niners secondary was going to be able to hold them off, and then the defensive line was going to get to Baker. But
I mean, how much more? How much? I mean, if you're saying all over Baker, you mean physically? I get it. Baker threw for 105 yards today.
Right.
That's it. 215 total yards by Tampa. So again, Nick Sorensen and Brandon Staley, it feels like they leave a lot to be desired. Open up that box score and see that the 49ers defense had a damn good day, right?
Good. Actually,
Particularly late.
Campbell made some good plays today.
Well, he was getting abused throughout the game. People.
He did, but he made a couple good plays where he stopped the running back on a swing pass.
I mean, we were talking about Purdy, not holding the ball well and throwing fluttery balls. I thought Mayfield looked terrible. I mean, Mayfield had a number of guys open, and the ball was just wobbling.
Right.
Like he was.
How about
he was
the
struggling.
ball
himself.
Otten missed? That was key. Otten went right through his hands.
Otten's a player, man. Who is that guy? He's like leading the NFL in receptions since week 7. It's crazy.
Well, it's just, again, his targets start going down, other targets start to emerge. And I think that's a little bit of the formula that the 49ers need without Brandon Ayuk in the room. Otten gets to stand out the minute that Evans and Godwin are no longer around to be found. Now that, Ayuk isn't going to be here till the middle of next season, dude, Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings, this is your moment in time. Jacob Cowing, if you're ever going to do anything, don't wait much longer to do it. Now is the time. This is when the Niners need you, and this is when you're actually going to get reps. I mean, I'm surprised they're not using, we're not going to say what they are and aren't doing with Christian McCaffrey. He's only been back for 4 quarters. Line him up in the slot, get Mason or Garendo in the backfield. I'd rather see McCaffrey, be targeted more than Brandon Ayuk at any point in time this year. So that's the difference between good players and great players. Look at how Brandon Ayuk came back and for 4 weeks couldn't work himself into game shape. McCaffrey's already there like 5 minutes into his return game. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Were you guys surprised to see Ronnie Bell and not Chris Conley today? Ronnie Bell was out there a lot.
They like him for some reason.
Yeah,
they like him.
Surprised to see him.
No, they love him.
Yeah.
Larry told me to read super, so I'm going to read the super. Bill M says, Damon, right on. Kittle and Garendo carry the team recently, and they barely touched the ball today.
Get him more touches. Get him more touches. Again, more for them means less for McCaffrey, and less for McCaffrey sounds like a really good way to approach the rest of the Christian McCaffrey you get to use this year. I mean, Garendo and Mason need to be the running backs that are in between the 30s. I want to see McCaffrey in the red zone.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think you're right. Like, why not use your best weapons? Why not especially when you have a guy like McCaffrey who can line up in the slot. Like it's not just like, oh, like let's try him out there. Like he can do it. Like he can be the best, slot receiver in the NFL if he wants to be.
Without that,
once the running back coach kind of figures you out, I mean, and it's not in a good way, your carries start to go down. Like you look at like Mason. Mason has damn near 800 yards, 800 yards. And he hasn't played well over the past couple of games, but he was invisible. I mean, somebody else probably would have been pissed off, and quietly he probably was. But it doesn't matter because the running back coach literally has total autonomy on who gets on the field.
Yeah. I mean, we thought we were going to see Christian McCaffrey with a lower role. He was on the field 88.9% of the snaps. So he's pretty much the guy now. I mean, it's like
he's back, folks.
Yeah.
Oh my
Not you're
goodness.
Gonna see less of McCaffrey. It's
whoa. Did you see that?
He's back.
You guys watch any of the games? Kyler Murray just took a blindsided shot on I don't know if it was the edge rusher, but his helmet went flying off as he got hit. It was a legal hit too. Oh my gosh. It was yeah, coming in, boom, lost the ball. Oh, but it stayed with him. Yeah, his helmet just went flying off. Oh, literally like 3 or 4 yards.
Juwan Jennings is back. Is the confidence I needed. There you go.
Oh.
Brandon Johnson, why are they 50 plus in the first half, not minus 30 in the second?
Because the Niners are front runners. The Niners have, under Kyle Shanahan, in every year that he's had, been a better first half team of a game than a second. They are hard to beat when they come out, game prepped up, score on that first drive. Niners get an early lead, and then they get conservative. They try to sit on it. But there's also plenty of problems going on in the second half this year, too, that'll explain that. They're not scoring enough. It's just that simple. They're not scoring enough. And
yeah, I mean, the red zone is still an issue. Why? It's like what's happened? You have all your players back, and it's still like they can't really run on first down. Like it felt like McCaffrey wasn't able to get any good first down runs, and then they're forced to pass, and then it falls apart from there.
Yeah, I haven't figured the goal line thing out. I think they were more physical today, but I think goal line success lends itself to physicality. And they haven't been that physical this year, and I don't know. I'm happy that McCaffrey's back because a lot of those, like you mentioned, Kevin, a lot of those 2-yard runs with Mason at the goal line, he gets tripped up and he should not go down. I'm hoping that McCaffrey will get the ball in space. He can just run away from people. So he's going to help, but I don't know why they're not more physical at the goal line. Because I think that the teams that are the ones that generally do well at the goal line.
Daza says, does Tabor or Moody tell Deebo to lock in when Deebo is jogging on plays or dropping the ball?
That's fair.
You got to own it, right?
Look at it this way. Deebo and Tabor Pepper probably never talked to each other before today and probably might not talk to each other again. Hey, it's nothing. It's no big deal. Who cares? They won.
James Foster, Brock, 69% completion percentage, 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, 4th quarter comeback, and game-winning drive.
Or as it will be written up in some other places, Brock sucks.
He didn't look good in the first quarter.
He didn't look good. He didn't look good on that one pass that I'm going to use to define the entire afternoon's performance. Forget the fact that they won or he threw for a season high in yardage today. Forget all that. I didn't like that.
Third highest in his career.
That ball fluttered, and I didn't like it.
I mean, people who criticize Brock hard didn't watch the Giants game early this morning.
Oh, God. Right? That game was ugly.
I mean,
that game was so ugly.
I mean, it's like, hey, it's 32 teams in the NFL. Everybody's not going to get it right every week. But, I mean, I thought Brock Purdy, again, looked more similar to the Brock Purdy last year than he did earlier this year, minus the flimsy balls at times. But the thing that I really liked about him was his diversity of passes. When you talk about Pearsall playing well, he's comfortable throwing the ball to a myriad of players minus Ayuk. And I think that's going to help them. I mean, I'm excited about their future. Had they lost this game, it would have been like a death knell. You get an opportunity now to look at the tape a little bit, but really focus on Seattle and get ready to kind of grab a hold of the division again. Every show that I listened to spoke to how close this game was going to be, regardless of what transpired. We all knew this game was going to be close. The 49ers are not that much better than Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay is not that much better than the 49ers. So 23-20 is about what I think most people expected the game to be at the end.
I actually thought the Niners were going to have a bit of a better day than they did. I just thought the absence of Godwin and Evans alone would be the vehicle that opened up more of a scoring deficit in this one. But yeah, look, they had one thing that they needed to do, and they did it. So there's 9 games remaining, including today, right? So they're 1-0 in their final 9 games. I asked Larry on Wake Up, let me ask all you guys, what needs to be their record in their final 9 games in order to be playoffs for sure? 6-3, 7-2, 7-2. You're all the way home. You're winning the NFC West at 7-2. 6-3, maybe 5-4. Good, I don't know. So they needed this one. This was huge.
Yeah.
I feel like if you want to be
think about
negative,
this game being, 3 points. Moody makes 2 of the 3 misses that he had. It's a 9-point win. They cover the spread.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean,
yeah, I don't know the spread.
I think if you want to be
6.5.
extremely negative about this game, the most negative thing you could say is that if you look at the remaining schedule, it's not like it's getting much easier. It's a tough stretch. It's a really tough stretch, and you could make an argument this was going to be the easiest game. I get that. The Bucs are a good team, but they are really banged up, and they're not. I don't know. You're coming off of a bye. They played on a short week in an overtime game, and you just barely survive them. And now you're going to play the Packers, the Lions, the Bills.
Easiest game remaining is Miami. And that might be harder than you expect, only because
Tua
and McDaniel has, so much operational knowledge of what the 49ers do and do well and do poorly. So that's really good, what you got to worry about there. But yeah, I mean, the Chicago Bears, they got creamed today. They looked, incompetent today.
Right.
I think Caleb Williams got sacked 9 times today. So, who knows what that game's going to look like? Who knows what Detroit's even going to need to play for by the time they roll into town? And again, that Week 18 game against Arizona might be the game that decides, win it, you're in it, lose it, you're home for the holidays. So that's going to be a huge game, maybe.
And Arizona's up 21-6 right now. I'm watching this game over the Jets with about 6 minutes or so to go.
And they're first in the division, right? So
yep, they are 5-4 currently, and boy, McBride looks really good for Arizona, the tight end. But,
there are no easy games. I mean, listen. Anybody who looks at the New England Patriots and go check, you're out of your mind. They show up every week and play hard. If you show up and you play hard and you don't turn the ball over, you got a chance to win. I'm going to tell you right now, the Carolina Panthers look different now than they did 5-6 weeks ago. These teams can beat you. You have to show up. You win and lose games in the margins, which is why the Moody field goal kicking problems is concerning. You can't lose games in special teams. The 49ers every week play a new opponent that if they game plan properly, they can theoretically win. But none of these games are easy. None of them.
Digital Drew says on Deebo popping off on Moody, more of that, please. Finally, someone is unwilling to accept mediocrity. So Larry, you're up. Tell Dan to lock it in.
Lock it in, Dan.
Lock in. Yeah, lock in, Dan.
He's locked in. That's
Sit
it.
up.
He's locked in. Ain't nobody getting in there, right?
But look, I mean, what is the special teams issue? I mean, what does Snyder have other than a reputation? He's got a good reputation as a special teams coordinator. His production has to trump whatever the reputation was. And the production every single week leaves something to be desired. It's insane. If you're asking me, like, what is the thing that was Kyle's ultimate blind spot, this is it. It's the refusal to even ask anyone on special teams to be better than they have been. Kyle allows this by permitting it to happen game after game after game.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I mean, they're just not buttoned up. I mean, how do you have Luter running into your own defender right when the ball's arriving?
I thought there was a little interference. I thought there was a little gunner pushing him, but no flag. They didn't even think about it.
I think the one mistake, that you can attribute to the special teams coach is the muffed punt, because that's all on coverage.
Right.
The Moody kicks, that's all on.
Yeah, I mean, you can't.
You can't.
He's not
fault.
Snyder's not kicking the ball. I mean,
right.
You can just put him in the situation.
You can't fault him, but they've got to, that's got to be a coaching situation. Cowing's got to say, something, or Cowing's got to get ball, come in or get out of the way. But you can't sit there and, I kind of thought at first, though, with the naked eye, when I first saw it, it looked like he got pushed in. Luter got pushed into Cowing, but
I thought he did too.
They didn't review it. I don't know if that's a reviewable play by Shanahan with the flag, but they didn't even bring it up. It was like no big deal.
Here's some gospel. You practice how you play over the course of a team. I've never been to a 49ers practice, so I don't know what happens. But if you raise the level of intensity, I've never seen a team who consistently practices like they're playing in a game, who doesn't have the ability to translate that success to game situations. You're going to have mistakes, but the 49ers special teams, and I'm not talking about the kickers, has not been good this year. Then why doesn't every other NFL team have the same issues? There's something different going on. I don't know what it is. Maybe I've seen Parcells cut players because they didn't perform. I don't like it. I don't want anybody to lose their jobs. But the reality is you generally practice how you perform in the games. That's just a given rule about sports.
Yeah, special teams a disaster all week long in practice. It's impossible. Go ahead.
No. I'm saying you would think not, but any mistake in practice is a big no. So I don't understand what's going on, because they shouldn't have these problems from week to week. They shouldn't have it.
No, they literally it's not it's not a fluke. Like, we've consistently seen not missing kicks. Like, we've consistently seen gaffes in coverage, gaffes in returning every single week. And at some point, you got to point the finger at someone, because it's not
coverage,
just
run lane discipline, stay in your lane. Simple things. Make a tackle. Don't leave it up to your kicker to make tackles 2 weeks in a row, getting 2 kickers hurt. It's
not brain surgery.
They need to set a standard of, like, this is not acceptable. And every word that we've gotten from Kyle and everyone else on John Lynch about this has been, it's tough because people are getting injured, they're getting thrust into the moment, they're not ready. It's like that doesn't really cut it anymore. Like, at this point, it doesn't cut it.
So. Yeah, it might cost them a game. It already has. But moving forward, and these are fixable problems, though. It isn't like you can't, fix these problems. I don't necessarily think firing the coach is a way to fix it. Like you say, lane discipline on kickoff coverage, point coverage. And even Larry had said it earlier. If you need a philosophical change 10 games to the season, don't worry about advancing the football. You got one primary job: catch the ball. That's it. If you see a teammate go the opposite way, get away from it. There are things that you can do to increase the safety of possessing the football, that you can make that decision. You can do that.
Guys, I just had my family get back from a big day at the Oakland Zoo. I have been called my 2-year-old, my 3-year-old Ozzy was very excited about the gondolas. He loves the gondolas at the Oakland Zoo. I'm going to go see if he had a good time on the gondolas. I'm sorry I couldn't go. I don't know where Larry went. I wanted to at least stick around until he got back, but I do got to run. Guys, always good to see you. It really, really is. Frank, good to see you. Dan, good to see you. Kevin,
you too, David.
I'm sure we'll be talking tomorrow for Wake Up. Like and subscribe all the way around, boys. It was not pretty, but they got the job done. There it is.
Yep.
Thanks,
Take care,
Damon.
guys.
Thanks, Damon.
Take care.
Fuji Simeon says, does Purdy go up in Colin and Wright's QB rankings? I guess it depends what camp you're in, if Purdy had a bad day or a good day. I don't think you can look at the stat sheet and say that Purdy had a bad day.
Depends if you watch the game. If you watch the game, if you just look at the stats, you say Purdy, wow, what a great game. If you watch the game, you say, maybe he had like a B. You know, he had a lot of missed balls, a lot of high throws, some balls that didn't have zip on it. But then you look at the stats and you say, wow, the guy was super productive, 350 plus yards, 2 TDs, no picks, and 69% completion rating. But the balls that were missed were bad throws.
I think part of my thinking with regards to Brock Purdy is, how good do you think he is? Is he a top 10 quarterback? Is he a top 5 quarterback? He has room to make mistakes and not play well all the time. For me, I think he's a top. He's a good quarterback, but I think
he's right on the edge of top 10. He's right there.
Yes, exactly. So when he doesn't do things perfectly, it doesn't bother me. I tend to look at him in the totality of his performance, and if you do that today, he won the game. I mean, he outplayed Baker Mayfield, who up until this game is literally having an all-pro season, 23 touchdowns, 9 picks, winning games. I mean, I think Brock Purdy was probably at the least a B- to a B today. That's what I think.
Yeah, I'd give him an A-. I think you guys are underselling him a little bit.
Okay.
They had 20 first downs today that weren't from penalties. 17 of them were passing. So Brock was moving the ball down the field, and just there wasn't easy throw. I think the play of the day,
Kittle
was the Kittle catch, but just the throw from Purdy on that one.
How much he was going to his left, which is hard to throw across your body. He bought a lot of time, and if you saw that play as he was moving over toward the sideline, he was motioning Kittle to go to the corner, and I thought that was a wonderful play.
I mean, and we're talking about Jennings having a clutch day, like those throws by Purdy to Jennings in a crowd.
Yeah.
Those were clutch throws.
Those were good.
The touchdown pass to Pearsall, that was threaded. That was threaded through 3 defenders. So
that was
Purdy actually, I thought he excelled today.
Yeah, I thought he did well, but I just thought the ball was a little fluttery today on some of his misses and even some of his completions. They didn't have the zip that we've seen. That's why I knocked him down a little bit to a B. But the other play that was really good was CMC's over-the-shoulder catch on the double move. That was looked like CMC was in mid-season form. Yeah. I mean, CMC, what I said the Niners were going to do is I thought they were going to finish their final 9 either 6-3 or 7-2. And why did I say that? Because I think with CMC coming back, the offense gets better. And I believe Pearsall is getting better and better and will continue to get better every week. He was open a few other times, but Brock was not looking in that direction when he was running a wheel route. He had his man beat, but Brock was looking to the other side of the field. But had he looked over and saw that Pearsall had a couple steps on his guy, he could have lofted ball for a TD easily. But so I think with Pearsall, I think he gets better. I think the Niners get more used to him and him and Brock, and with CMC. And then when Greenlaw, they said he was sprinting today, which is good. If he comes back maybe 1st of December, maybe that shores up the defense. So I think they can go 10-7, and they have an outside shot at 7-2. For them to go 7-2, they're going to have to beat Green Bay, because I think the 3 teams that look the toughest on the schedule to me is the back-to-back Green Bay, Buffalo, and then Detroit later in the season. And then, of course, that game against Arizona, it could come all down to that, the last game of the year.
What did I miss?
6-3.
You guys talking about what their record's going to be?
Oh, here from the interesting Deebo from the locker room. This is he said, I wasn't. This is a back to the Tabor thing. He said I wasn't talking to him. He just came over and wanted to be big bruh. That's kind of funny.
It looked like you were talking with Pepper.
I wasn't talking to him. He just came over, wanted to be big bro.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So
I mean, what you know? I mean,
I don't know.
you know, it's Deebo holding the kicker accountable, and then Pepper pushing back on Deebo holding the kicker accountable. That's what we saw, right?
Yes, exactly.
And I understand it. I understand all of it, right? I understand why Deebo was incredibly frustrated. A guy missed 3 kicks, and this is 2024 in the NFL when nobody ever misses a kick. Guys make kicks in the NFL now all the time. Guys make 55-yarders, and they make it look easy. When we were kids, if somebody made a 55-yard field goal, it's like, whoa,
Right.
guy made a 55-yard field goal, and they talk about Dempsey and his 63-yard field goal. I watched a kicker last night in the Georgia-Ole Miss game who kicked for a monster field goal, and it went over. It was a deep, deep field goal, and it went above the goalpost. So, I mean,
Right.
the guys now are better than ever. The kickers today are better than ever. So when you see somebody miss 3 kicks in a game,
Yeah.
that is egregious. And so I don't blame Deebo for being like, bro, you know, be better. And I don't blame, you know, Tabor for saying, hey, look, that ain't going to help him. You know, shut the hell up. Keep it to yourself. You know, nobody talks down to you when you drop passes. Let's not, you know what I mean? So I get what Deebo's saying. He was playing big bro. He was playing like, hey, man, I'm covering Jake here. You don't get in Jake's face. Nobody gets in your face. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's all much ado about nothing. Deebo's going to be fine with Tabor. Tabor's going to be fine with Deebo. Everybody's going to be fine with Jake. It's all going to work itself out. If they had lost, maybe it wouldn't be.
Mhm.
But the win, I think everything will be okay. Did we get through a lot of these, or where are we on the supers?
I just scroll to the bottom. We have a bunch more to get through.
Oh, we haven't got to the bottom yet?
Yeah, here's the next one.
Urban, what time is that?
That is 2:06 or 2:07.
Okay, here we go. Fuji Simeon 2:07. There it is. Urban Meyer with the Jags got fired late in the season. Did you guys already read the one about Purdy and the Colin Wrights rankings? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The Bear of War says, what the hell was up with the running back rotation? First spell of CMC was JP. Second was Deebo. Then they pull CMC twice in the red zone. I know what I seriously, they yanked CMC for Garendo inside the 10, but then Garendo got 1 touch and Mason got 1 touch. To me, it's like, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Maybe Christian's totally fine. Maybe it's a good sign that those guys didn't get very many touches, but you really want to just go right back to everything is McCaffrey. It's all McCaffrey all the time. Isn't the
he played 88? He played 88.5% of the snaps on offense.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't that seem like too much?
Particularly coming off an injury.
Yeah. Philly has just scored 14-6. They lead Dallas. Chargers lead the Titans 13-7. And Arizona has a 21-6 lead on the Jets in some of the afternoon games. We got this one from Fuji Simeon. Wasn't Janikowski a first-round pick? Yes, he was.
Mm-hmm.
It went Julian Peterson, and then Janikowski to the Raiders in the teens. Hyphy Hippos says, seems to me like San Francisco is the polar opposite of Kansas City. Kansas City finds a way to win those close games against mid opponents. Niners invent ways to lose. Well, the Niners won today, but there's no question that Kansas City, I heard, now I didn't see the Kansas City game. I heard that Kansas City got a couple favorable calls that helped them get over on Denver.
As they always do.
Yeah, they seem to. There's audio of Mahomes asking an official to give him a break or something like that, or give him a call or something. Did you see that?
It was like to let him know when he's close to the sideline, or
Oh,
like
yeah.
when I don't know.
Or no, to let him know when there's a defender nearby or something. I don't know. It's like, what? What do you? I mean, excuse
He
me.
gets like the LeBron treatment of like, it's like if you hit him hard, it's a PI or not
Exactly.
PI, the roughing,
Exactly. There was a
That's how
play
LeBron would
today.
call.
There was a play today where the defender grazed the top of his helmet, and Mahomes is going face mask. Didn't even come close.
Did he
He's
get the
like
call?
totally no. It was
No.
There was no call. It was totally LeBron. Like, hey, give me the call. Give me the call.
LeBron is 6'9", 250, brags about how he could play tight end in the NFL, but if he sweeps the ball through and you happen to touch his nose, he's 6'9", 250. Wow. Bill M says pretty obvious what Kyle's problem is. No Kittle or Garendo after they carried us the last few weeks. I would have loved to have seen Garendo get 3 or 4 touches, and it's weird. It's like, I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on Garendo right now. He doesn't have any ability in close areas to kind of make quick decisions naturally, the way a running back would. But he's got great explosive size and speed, and if you can get him in space, an open space, he's one bad angle away from a house call. And it's like they keep running him between the tackles, and he'll take it up in there hard, but he also may fumble, and he's not going to hit the hole. He's not going to read it right. But if you could get him out in space, he could be a game breaker, and it's like a game breaker they don't show any interest in using. It's a weird phenomenon, really. I'm just surprised they're not more eager to use those guys. Dale says our plays are boring. Stop running with Deebo. Yeah, I mean, that's not fooling anybody, that's for sure. Terrence Felder says the team is still way too conservative for me. I'm so tired of the 4th and 2, 4th and 3 field goals. Please go for it. Please. Yeah. If you're inside your 30 and it's fourth, it's 4th down, you don't want to go for it. Fine. Anything that's not inside your 30, I think, the way NFL teams, the way the game works now, it's all about chunk yardage plays anyway. So does it really matter if you give the ball to a team? I mean, if it's inside the 2-minute warning in a 1-score game, but if you're just in the meat and potatoes of the game, second quarter, does it really matter if the other team takes over at their own 40 as opposed to their own 20, as opposed to midfield? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's like you still are going to have opportunities to stop them. I don't see that as being such a dramatic difference, like where a drive starts in over one drive. I mean, if it's a consistent theme, that's one thing.
They didn't really have success running the ball. Like, despite Christian McCaffrey coming back, they didn't move the ball on the ground very well at all.
No, they don't. They can't run when everybody in the place knows they need to run. Fuji Simeon says low-key Juwan diving on that Purdy fumble was epic. Yeah, I mean, Juwan Jennings is, he's a winner. Mm-hmm. And if you have him on your team, you got a better chance to win because he makes those kinds of plays every single week. And he rises up and makes big plays when money's on the table. He's
a situation receiver. Like, I don't know if that's ever existed before, but it's like when the Niners are in a situation where they need something good to happen, it seems like his name is called more than not.
Larry, you take EBT for the super chat? What's EBT?
That's like government food money.
It's like food stamps, kind of like, I guess.
Food stamps?
Yeah.
No, I don't take food stamps.
I mean, we had food stamps when I was a little kid. I don't know if they even call it that anymore, but that's kind of what it is.
I think
government assistance is what it is.
Won't be taking any EBT for super chats, but I'll be appearing in downtown Walnut Creek for block cheddar. So you can drop cheese, big blocks of cheddar, and I can make the kids, grilled cheese sandwiches forever. Harold McAllister says Evan Anderson looks promising. Yeah, he does. Mm. Yes, he does. There were a lot of people that were like, hey, the Niners need help at defensive tackle. Hey, they got help, Khalil Davis. And I thought to myself, you know what? Today? Evan Anderson if Khalil Davis prevents Evan Anderson from playing, I'm not sure if that's a good move. I like Evan Anderson. He's strong. He's quick. He's tough inside. He might be their strongest lineman.
He's got the best looking helmet too on the team.
with
He
the,
blew up the white run. That was huge. That was a huge play because if they get yards there, they could have just ran it in.
second and goal from the 5, and he stuffed them. And then it made it basically one play, and Mayfield threw to Jarrett, and was it Jair Brown or somebody was there? Broke that up.
Warner and Brown, yeah, I think.
Yeah. Jennings, 2 years, $9 million is a steal. Oh, no question. Whatever you pay Jennings is where he's worth every penny. Dale says, what can we get for Bosa in the offseason? He's cooked. Wow. You could probably get a 1. That would be my guess. Late
we
1.
We did cash on in better because Bosa got a sack.
So what were our things? It was Bosa getting 1 sack, right?
Yeah, let me pull it up. It was we had 2 lineups and we hit on one of them. Let me see. Yeah. We had longest pass Brock Purdy 37.5. That cashed. Bucky
Did we
Irving.
go with the Brock Purdy run? Because that always cashes.
No, we didn't.
Oh.
We did a Bucky Irving over 30.5 rushing yards. He had 73. And then Nick Bosa sack. He had 1.
Wow. I thought that Bosa would have a big day. He didn't really have a big day.
Oh, the 37. That was the Pearsall one, right? The one that was over 37.
So yeah, he had a 46-yard completion. That was his longest pass.
He did try to do the Trump dance after the sack, as we saw that. Dale says, or Dazza says, maybe instead of using Kittle as a second right tackle, upgrade the O-line. He's an excellent pass catcher. Use him. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have to use Kittle as an inline blocker as much if you had a better O-line. That's for sure. Claw Daddy says, is Coach Emilio, is he legally wait, did we get this one? Is Coach Emilio legally blind? My apologies. Is it just me, or does Kyle Shanahan offense and our D play calling look vanilla on both sides? We lack dynamic play calling. No, Dan is not legally blind. That was me trying to be funny earlier in the.
You thought you were serious. That's almost worse, Dan.
Yeah, that's offensive, Dan. Let's not do that. Last thing we need is offensive stuff in the chat. Dimitar Dimitrov, what's he giving us there? What is that?
That's euros, right?
It's a euro. Kev, can you look up the conversion rate? What's 2 euros? He says Damon.
I think it's $2. It's like 1-to-1 at this point.
Damon is better than Cowing. Is actually Damon. What?
He's saying Damon Cowing is actually a nasty receiver.
Okay.
Because Damon was ripping on Cowing.
Oh, okay. Well, he shouldn't have. Heckdell says, and that's why he's not in here anymore. We ran him because of that. No. Heckdell says, when are we going to put up a 50 burger on a team? Yeah, I mean doesn't seem like it's coming.
How about 40?
Yeah. How about a burger and fries? Heckdell says, Larry, why don't you have interviews with Jennings? I've interviewed Jennings before. Jennings is sometimes Jennings doesn't like to talk. Sometimes he's not a big interview guy, but I can reach out to him. He's good when you do talk to him. Dazza says we will know what the 49ers are based on the Bills-Packers games. Yeah, those are going to be measuring sticks. Come on, let's be honest. I mean, this game the Niners were supposed to get, and they got it, but I thought it would be a much easier game than this. Heckdell says Niners should never draft a Michigan player ever again. I don't know. I'll take Kenneth Grant next year. He's pretty good. The big defensive tackle. Man-child. Terrence Sullivan, Larry left to try out for kicker. Oh, yeah. That's right. Actually, I had to do my KMBR hit. Went over there. Brandon Johnson with Arizona's schedule is 10-7 enough for the playoffs. Oh, I haven't even looked at Arizona's schedule. Does Arizona have an easy schedule, Kev?
Pretty easy.
Does it?
Pulled up.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, pull that up. NBA Elias says, different sport comparison. This game felt like the Bucs left the bases loaded the last 3 innings and lost 1-0.
This is the Cardinals' schedule. They have Seahawks. They must be going on a bye. Then they have the Seahawks, Vikings, Seahawks again. Then they play the Patriots, and they play the Panthers, the Rams, and then the Niners. So they're going to play the Patriots.
Wow.
They're going to play the Patriots, Panthers, Seahawks twice.
Yeah. So I would say they got 5 wins probably. What do they got right now?
They're 5-4.
Yeah, they're probably going to go. They're probably going to win
smoking
10.
the Jets right now.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to guess what the line is right now for Niners Seahawks next week?
-3.
I will say Niners
It's
are
at home, right?
9.
I'm saying 3.
I'll say Niners.
I'll say Niners by 11.
Wow. It opened at 9. Now it's Niners -7.
Okay.
Wow, the money came in on Seattle.
Yeah.
After the Niners' bad loss or bad
Yeah.
win. I mean,
Okay, we got that one. So we got all the supers. We've been going for an hour and 49 minutes. Do you guys? Is there anything that you guys discussed when I was gone that we should get to?
I thought one
should weigh
interesting
in on?
point that was brought up was just
Yeah.
that, like, the Niners obviously, they don't have Ayuk. Some of the receivers are kind of banged up. Why don't they use CMC in the slot and use one of their dynamic running backs that they have sitting on the sideline as the actual running back, and then just, like, why don't you use 2 running backs? Why don't you use more 21 personnel?
The Niners seem more eager to use Deebo as a runner than they do to use McCaffrey as a receiver when they have other runners. Yeah, I totally agree. That has to be a question for Shanahan this week. Is that obviously you guys want to utilize Christian, but you also don't want to beat him up, and you got these other 2 running backs that were playing pretty well without him. Last I checked, it's one thing to now. Mason he's got the AC joint sprain. He's not 100%. I bet you he benefits greatly from inactivity today. But only 1 touch for Garendo. Come on, man. He is a game breaker. You drafted the guy. He's not instinctive. He's not natural. But what he is big, strong, fast, and he's a huge game breaker. And if you have a game breaker on your team, I think you're fooling yourself if you don't get him at least 2 or 3 touches a game. I mean, minimum, right? If you got a game breaker, don't you think if you have a game breaking type player, he's got to get 2 or 3 touches a game?
He's averaging 5 yards a carry.
Yeah, seriously, get him the ball.
I mean,
you don't have to give him 40 carries or anything, but and also, I would love to see them, set it up for him. Like, set it up for him. Maybe run 3 times to the left and then fake the run the 4th time to the left and toss it to him, with all the action going the other way. See if you can get him isolated against one defender. Because, I mean, seriously, if you can get that guy, isolated against one defensive player, he can make a house call. I mean, he could give you a 70, 80-yard play. And without Ayuk, they're going to need as many chunk yardage, plays as they can come up with, you would think. I'd love to see him more. Did you guys discuss the Niners schedule going forward here? So they go home against Seattle next week. Then they're at Green Bay in a 125 game at Lambeau. Is that the week before Thanksgiving or is that after? When's Thanksgiving this year?
That's week before.
That's before
Late
Thanksgiving?
28th or 29th, whatever it is.
So it's the Sunday before Thanksgiving. The Niners are at Lambeau, and then they have to come home, right? Have Thanksgiving.
No. Are they coming home or are they going to stay on the road this year?
I think they're coming home.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything about them staying on the road. Has anybody heard anything about that? I haven't heard that.
No.
So, but then that's going to be challenging. So you're going to play Green Bay going into, Seattle's always physical. So coming out of a physical game, you're going to get Green Bay at their place. And then you're going to get Buffalo after Thanksgiving week on a national TV game in Buffalo. And Buffalo's been really good. I mean, I don't know how much you guys have watched the Bills this year.
Bills are
but Buffalo has, coming into today, had won 4 games in a row by 21 points or more.
They're
what
good.
was the final of their game today? They took care of business today, didn't they? What did Buffalo do? Did Buffalo get a big win?
Buffalo.
Yeah. Let's see. Buffalo 30-20 over the Colts. Yeah, they beat the Colts 30-20. So I mean, that's that game is going to be a very difficult game. You would think is the Buffalo game.
But it's interesting when you look at like their win today. Indy doesn't really have great quarterback play. People talk about Flacco, and he's pretty good for an older guy, but Richardson is very, very inconsistent. It's going to be a tough game for the 49ers to beat Buffalo, But I think if the 49ers execute their game plan, they can beat them, So it's a tough game, but it wouldn't surprise me if the 49ers won that game.
Yeah. I get the one part about this game. I didn't hear of any injuries in this game. Was there any injuries that you guys saw in this game? Because I didn't see any.
No one talked about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that right there, now, we'll see. It seems like every single time these guys hit the field, then they come back, and even if something doesn't happen in the game, we'll find out the next day that somebody's got something. It's just kind of the nature of the sport. But, how about this for a wild stat? Here we are. It's November the 10th, and today was the first time the 49ers have won back-to-back all year.
Mm-hmm.
They won, they lost, they lost. They beat the Patriots, lost to the Cardinals, beat the Seahawks, lost to the Chiefs, and then beat the Cowboys, and now have beaten Tampa. So the Niners have won 2 in a row and 3 out of 4, and they get Seattle next week at home, and then it's at Green Bay, at Buffalo, Bears at home, which, the Bears are definitely a much better team in Chicago. They lost today to the Patriots at home. So they're not necessarily looking great. The Rams, we'll find out what they look like. That'll also be a night game. Dolphins late in the year is very much of a coin flip. Don't know what that game's going to look like. Don't know what the Lions game's going to look like in week 17 or week 16, how much they're going to need that one. And then they finish with the Cardinals on January 5th. And I would say, what do they have? The Niners now have 5 wins. So, they're 5-4 after 9 games, and you got 8 games left. So of the final 8 games, they probably have to go,
I think 5-3 at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 5-3. So, okay, maybe you beat Seattle, the Bears, the Rams, the Dolphins, and the Cardinals.
Yeah, that'll win the
maybe
division.
You would lose to the Lions, the Bills, and the Packers.
Yeah, I think they can go, if they can beat the Packers, I think they can go 7-2.
That's why, that really illustrates why this game was so big today. Because really, the 49ers are going to probably need at least 5 wins to get to the playoffs and win the division. And they have, Bills, Packers on the road, Lions at home. Those are 3 really difficult games. If they had to win those games, I think it would be the vibe around the team would be different. The fact of the matter is they may be able to get in and still lose all 3 of those games.
With a win today, the Niners' playoff chances went up to 66%. Had they lost, it would have been 36%.
Right, and I touched on this with you yesterday, Frank. That for that reason, what Danny just stated there, and Tampa had a similar thing. I think for Tampa, if they had won today, their playoff odds were like 44%, and if they lost, they're like 22% or something like that. So it was a huge game for the 49ers to win. It's very difficult to win on the road. This Tampa team was playing a little bit better than I gave them credit for. That's for sure, especially defensively. I didn't realize that they had been sacking the quarterback as much as they had. They put some heat on Brock today. They really did. We got Frank here in the chat. It says mediocre still in the red zone, and special teams will cost him at least 3 more losses. Kyle has never addressed any weaknesses. Coordinator. He's not a head coach. What do you guys think? Is Kyle Shanahan a great offensive coordinator masquerading as a head coach, or do you think he's a really good head coach who just hasn't climbed to the top of the mountain and some of the fans are running out of patience?
I think it's somewhere in the middle. He's obviously a great offensive coordinator. I think he's a solid head coach, but I think that, again, he needs to give the right coaches that he has a little more autonomy so they can have more control over their particular units, as opposed to kind of like hovering over the entire team. I think the best teams to me are the ones that really are very explicit with the autonomy of responsibility. And I think he's a little uncomfortable with that.
What do you guys think, Danny, Kev?
I think he's an excellent offensive mind. I think he gets a little bit too conservative at times and just doesn't go for it on 4th down and in territory, in the opponent's territory, and he settles for field goals. And he doesn't show an aggressive style enough to me to put more points on the board. I would like to see him, even when it was 20-17 and he went for the field goal, it was kind of like, well, you make the field goal, you're still come down. I mean, it worked out, but had Tampa scored a touchdown, they were just a few yards away from scoring a TD. They would have lost the game. I thought, keep going for it. Try and instead of get up by 6, try and get up by 10. It's just kind of frustrating to me at times to watch him, not push the envelope a little bit more, like an Andy Reid or a Dan Campbell, guys that are, winning ball games, and it just shows you believe more in the offense. And maybe he doesn't. I don't know.
Well, I mean, here's my thing on it. I mean, I think, okay, he didn't have McCaffrey. They've got a top 5 offense, a top 5 defense. Our top 5 offense, run and pass, I should say. And they haven't had McCaffrey until today. So in his area of expertise, which is offensive football, I think he is a proven entity. Like, Jim Harbaugh is a great coach, but Jim Harbaugh was a disciple of Ben Schembechler. He's kind of 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I think some of the, Harbaugh is an offensive guru, and obviously he's not a defensive guru, so he's got to be an offensive guy. I think he was kind of an overrated offensive coach as far as his scheme and his play calling. I think Shanahan's scheme and play calling are not overrated. I think he's legit. But look at Kansas City. Look at their equation. They got a GM that's hitting at a high rate. The Niners are missing a lot in the first round. They've got a defensive coordinator in Spagnuolo who's as good as any in the sport. The Niners have a first-year defensive coordinator. Their special teams coordinator is Dave Taub, who's far and away considered by far the best special teams coach in all of football. And the Niners are atrocious on special teams and trade out their coordinator, it seems like, every 2 or 3 years with the exact same results. So I would say that Shanahan's legit, but he needs to have a proven defensive coach. I know they went after Belichick. I know they went after Spags. I'd love to know what they offered him. There is no cap for assistant coaches in the NFL. Go find a great defensive coordinator and pay him a shit ton. I mean, God, how hard is it? You are a great offensive mind. Do you want to win the Super Bowl? Then go get a great defensive coordinator and pay him big money to leave whatever job he's in. I mean, what does Spags make? What does he make? $5 million, $6 million? Pay him 10. Who cares?
Something lacks there, Larry. I agree, because I think about all these little things. Like, for example, we're talking special teams today. Luter gets pushed in. In the Super Bowl, Luter touches the ball. Overtime, it appears the Niners players don't really know what the rules are. And it makes you wonder, did Kyle really know what the rules were? Because the Chiefs knew about it. You see the little cut with Mahomes now that the NFL Films has put up. They want the ball.
Yeah, they were like, couldn't believe it. They want it. They want it. He's like, good. We wanted them to have the ball.
Yeah, the Chiefs all knew it, but none of the Niners. Then you hear Huschek. Whoa, I didn't know that. Hey, if we score a touchdown here, we don't win the game. It's like, how prepared is Kyle in leading a group of men?
Yeah. I mean, I think Kyle knew the rule. I don't know if the players all knew it. That's for sure.
Looking at this game, though, I think we're kind of splitting hairs. I'm not saying any of you guys are saying that Kyle Shanahan sucks, but for the people that are saying that Kyle Shanahan sucks or that he needs to get fired or that he's not this or that, I mean, Brock Purdy just had his 3rd best passing yards of his career. The Niners, Kyle Shanahan's offense put the Niners in a position to score 32 points if Jake Moody makes those field goals. And they would have won by 9 or whatever, not like 11, whatever that adds up to. So in this game specifically, I mean, there's nothing about what Kyle Shanahan did. Maybe he wasn't super aggressive and he went for the field goal, but if Jake Moody makes that field goal, I don't think any of us are sitting here saying, why, God damn it, why didn't they go for it from Tampa Bay's 36-yard line? Like, I don't know.
I just think it's his personality. I mean, you can watch Kyle Shanahan sometimes on the sidelines, and he's visibly affected by what's happening on the field. You watch Andy Reid, and he doesn't really change. That's the one. And even the guy in Jacksonville who won a Super Bowl, I can't think of his name right now.
Doug Peterson.
Peterson's exterior never changes, never. And I think that's the foundation of teams that go out and play hard and consistently. Not saying the 49ers don't, but I don't like the emotional roller coaster that sometimes Kyle Shanahan takes you on. I just don't like it. As a player, I don't like it. And I see it sometimes.
Bill M says, hell yes, put Garendo in the slot and let him run. I don't know if we played that one or if we showed that one yet. Let's see. I think we got a couple more here at the end. Let's see. Terrence. Okay, this one's new, I think. Terrence Sullivan. Have people forgot how the Niners play the Packers? LOL. No matter where it is, I'm going Jimmy G on you. F the Packers. We'll see. We'll see. Then the Packers are a young, ascending football team. They'll be at home. The Niners. I'll say this: the Niners are not going to be shaking in their boots, against any team in the NFC. I don't know. That's how I kind of view the NFC. I mean, I think they respect Minnesota. They respect the Rams. They respect, some of these teams that have beaten them.
If you don't respect the Lions, and I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, they respect the Lions. I think they do. But I also don't think, if the Niners had to go to Detroit and beat the Lions in the playoffs, it would be an incredibly difficult task. But I don't think the 49ers would be like, no, we can't do that. We can't beat them there. It's like there's too many guys who have won too many big games for them to not believe
good.
They've got a shot.
The problem with the Niners is that they're hot and they're cold. Like we see them play quarters in games that they lose where they look extremely dominant. Like talk about the Cardinals game, some quarters in the Rams game, or like the first quarter of the Rams game. They look like world beaters. They look like the team that they once were. It's just the inconsistency because we're seeing lows in some of these games where their defense looks like instead of being, top 5, it looks like it's, bottom 5. So
that's a great point, Kev.
At their height, yeah, of course, like you can see the Niners can beat any team in the NFL. They can beat the Lions. They can beat any team, but it's just, do you believe that they're going to be consistent enough throughout the entire game to get the win?
Yeah, their last big complete game was last year against Philly.
Minus the statistics, you're not a top 5 defensive team. You're just not. Aesthetically, you look at them, it's no way in hell they're top 5 defensive team. I mean, they're going to lean more on offense. What?
Yeah, they can't stop the run well enough.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like your eyeballs tell you they're not a top 5 defensive team.
Right.
Kyle McKiernan, who's our good buddy who showed up at Pig and a Pickle last year for the meet and greet, says Larry Krueger says Spags could have come back to ownership and said, hey, they're offering me this and match the 49ers, and he's happy where he's winning. It's like real estate. You just don't know. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Kansas City knows what they have in Spags. They just won the Super Bowl with them. I'm sure they've said, hey, what is it going to take for you to stay? But you know what? That's my point, is that the Niners don't have to offer the going rate. I mean, supposedly Shanahan offered the defensive coordinator job to Belichick. I wonder what kind of money was going to be attached to that offer, or I wonder if Belichick waited to hear what that money was. But I mean, just think about it this way. If Eddie D owned the Niners, Eddie D wants to win. He's super passionate about winning. What would he do? He would get them a new stadium. No, they have a new stadium. Okay, so they don't need that. He can't do anything as far as signing free agents because it's a cap and it's hard capped. Right. So where's the advantage? Oh, you know where the advantage is? There is no cap on what you pay your coaches. So he would go and sign the best coaches and pay them the most money. And I really think that the Niners ought to consider doing that and get themselves. I mean, I'm not saying Sorensen is a bad coordinator. He might be good. He might be good. Who knows? But he's young and he's a first-time guy. And it's like he's whatever he is or isn't, he's unproven at this point. And to me, it's like I would feel much better about the 49ers. I mean, look at Sean McVay. When the Rams won the Super Bowl, who was his defensive coordinator? It was Wade Phillips. And if you remember, though, that Rams team, the year they won the Super Bowl, when the offense was on the sideline, McVay wasn't even up on the line of sideline. He was like back on the bench talking to his offensive players. Why? Because Wade Phillips was the head coach of their defense. And I think I don't think Shanahan wants to be involved. I think he wants to compartmentalize and just be an offensive guy. I just don't think he trusts. I don't think he trusted Sorensen this year. I definitely don't think he trusted Wilkes last year. I don't think he's had that trust since D'Amico and Saleh. So, I mean, he's got to find a defensive coordinator that he absolutely believes in and can just say, hey, you got – I don't even care. I'm not even going to be on the defensive headsets. You're running the show, take it from here.
Maybe
that's the way to go.
Maybe it's an easy decision for him. Maybe Saleh comes back next year. I know he's in Green Bay now, but maybe he comes back next year.
Maybe for big money too. Maybe he'd want some big money. One more super
interesting quote from Shanahan.
What did he say?
Saying this was on Juwan Jennings because this was the first time in a game that he's been playing the X receiver, the X position, which is Ayuk's spot typically. He said, "quote He'll be doing that the rest of the year. He did a hell of a job."
What, that CMC will be doing that the rest of the year?
No. So Juwan Jennings played the X position.
Oh, I get you.
In today's game for the first time since Brandon Ayuk's out, so they're moving him around. He said he did a hell of a job, so he's going to be playing there for the rest of the year.
Good. I mean, what the heck? Juwan is money. I mean, you can bank on him. Delvin Thomas says our team just can't stop Taylor Swift. That's all. Taylor Swift. That's going to do it for us, guys. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. Check them out. They're in Pacific Grove along the Monterey Peninsula. And thanks to Better for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. The live stream sponsored by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Better to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. We've done it quite a bit this year, and everybody download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners to get the first deposit matched up to $200. Everyone who does sign up is automatically entered to win a free autographed Fred Warner jersey, and we'll announce the winner at the end of November. So there it is. I have it sitting right next to me. It's all in the wrapping, and it looks fantastic. It's a red Fred Warner jersey XL autographed by Fred. Very cool. Very cool. We got this one from Boxing Fan ×4. They should have called Anthony Lynn's son for defensive coordinator. I would just take anybody who's got some experience and somebody who look at it this way. Shanahan's got a lot on his plate. He's a big part of the personnel decision making. He's his own offensive coordinator. He's the head coach. I think that he's not going to give up play calling offensively, nor should he. But he probably should give up all control of the defense to a really good, proven veteran guy. It's kind of like Steve Kerr's got Ron Adams. Ron, he doesn't have some guy who's like 19 years old who's like trying it for the first time. Yeah, this guy knew defense at Marquette. No, he's got Ron Adams. Ron Adams is probably making millions of dollars a year and then before that he had Mike Brown, right? I mean, Mike Brown's now the head coach of the Sacramento Kings. So I'm just saying that maybe, if you ask Shanahan, I bet you he doesn't want to have any, like he's already said it. I don't want to lose the game on special teams. Okay. So get a special team coordinator that you trust. I don't want to lose the game on defense. Okay, fine. Then go get a defensive coordinator that you trust and really, pour some draft picks into it and build it up a little bit. But overall, I would say I'd be open to moving off of Shanahan if his offense didn't work. But I mean, look at this. They got a top 5 rush offense, a top 5 pass offense, and they haven't had McCaffrey until today. So, I mean, so he's a good offensive coach, but I think he's going to need a dominating defensive coordinator to climb to the top of the mountain. Final thoughts, guys. We'll go around the room and we'll just give our game balls and then we'll get out. Danny, we'll start with you. Who gets your game ball for this one?
Well, I would, Jennings is the obvious, but I really think Ricky Pearsall. He was instrumental in getting the Niners on the board, and then he made the catch. He didn't have a lot of receptions, but they were all valuable.
Kev, who do you got? Who's getting the game ball?
I'll give it to Purdy. I thought I'm giving it to him because some people, I would say, because it's not like an obvious one. Some people thought he didn't play as well, but I thought he really shined when he needed to. They had 20. I said this earlier. They had 20 first downs that weren't penalties. 17 of them came from Purdy throwing it, and he had his third highest passing yards day, in his 15th game of 115 passer rating or higher. So I thought Purdy excelled today. And put him in positions to win.
Red?
I'm gonna give it to CMC. He didn't run for big yardage today. He had 39 yards. But sometimes when people come off pretty significant injuries, they kind of slow walk it or they doubt themselves. He looked like CMC today, and I thought that was encouraging. I thought he opened up their offense, and I'm looking for good things in the future. I'm going to say this. I'm going to be on at 9 o'clock tonight. So if you're listening, you want to check the show out, then check me out at 9 o'clock in the Dungeon Show.
There you go. In the Dungeon, just how it's spelled there underneath, Frank. ENTHA Dungeon Show. What time, Frank? 9?
9 o'clock, no spaces. So just, no spaces.
How long typically do you go for?
About 90 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah, about 90 minutes.
I'm gonna confuse everybody with this one. I'm going to go with Jake Moody.
Yeah.
And here's why. Because the reality is that whether we're talking about basketball, football, hockey, baseball, NFL, doesn't really matter what sport we're talking about. And really doesn't even matter if we're talking about sports. We're just talking about doing, life. So much of it is about rhythm, right? And it's like when you're in rhythm, man, life's easy. But when you're out of rhythm, man, everything's really hard. And here's a guy that had been out of rhythm, hadn't been playing, and why was he out? He wasn't out because he, got arrested. He wasn't out because he beat somebody up or something. He's out because he was trying to make a tackle on special teams, and he rolled his ankle, and it looked really ugly. So he's, he gave it to the team, and missed some time. He comes into this game and he's not in rhythm and he misses again and he misses again. And now it's like literally you went from, man, everybody kind of saying, Jake, we're so glad you're back. And, you're having a great year. And now we get kickoffs through the back of the end zone with you went from that to everybody's excited to see you to Deebo's in your face. Guys are pissed, and you're not in rhythm, and you've missed 3 kicks, and you've cost your team the game. But wait, they're going to set it up for you to have one more shot. And it would have been one thing if it had been a 22-yarder, but it wasn't. It was a 44-yarder. And to me, you got a career, crisis going on out of left field that you didn't even anticipate. And he answered the bell right there. It's like, you know what? You missed that kick and you may be packing your bags. It may be over. You've changed your career maybe forever. And, so there's a ton of pressure. And he stepped up there with, his teammates are challenging him. You got other guys on the team now fighting over him. You saw Jake when Tabor Pepper and Deebo were going at it. Jake was right there by Tabor. Like you could almost see him going like, dude, I'm fine. You don't need to defend me. Like you could tell it's like he didn't want there to be a fight over. That just adds more pressure to the whole situation. Now I got teammates fighting over my failure, but he stepped up there and won this game, blocked it all out. And gets on the bird as the conquering hero, albeit one who just had his worst career day. So I don't know. Heck, I'm both. My 2 older sons, Kev played baseball. My younger son, Benjamin plays baseball. Christopher plays baseball. A lot of these guys played the outfield. And sometimes, there's like a fly ball, and man, you're supposed to catch it. And guess what? If you catch it, you're just doing what you're supposed to do. And if you don't catch it, you're a goat and you feel like hell. Mm-hmm. And it's the easiest thing in the world, right? Until the ball's in the air and now you got sweat in your eye and uneven footing and you didn't quite see it and it's got a little spin on it. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden you're the GOAT and you're going to let everybody down. And the pressure that everybody feels in that moment is just immense. And I think it's probably similar for a guy like Jake. So he faced up his career crisis with all the stuff that was probably, we're not getting the live audio. He's probably hearing guys in the sideline going, yeah, man. Yeah, come on, Deebo. You were right to get in this guy's face. He's killing us. Who knows what was said in that sideline. He's having a crisis, and he stepped up in his moment, and he answered the bell. So I'm giving him the game ball.
I like it.
For the resiliency.
Hey, look, it's that you hit the nail on the head with this. That was the most pressure kick
of his life,
because he's thinking about, I got to make this or I may be out of a job.
That's right.
And he's not just thinking, I got to make this, we're going to win the game. He's literally feeling the emotion of, if I miss this kick, it may be over for me as a 49er, and I'll have, to come through in, it barely made it, but still, I see a lot of people in the chat ripping on Moody. They probably never played any kind of ball, because if guys he was 14 of 15 and hadn't missed any kicks at all except the one field goal this year. So he had a bad day. I mean, it happens. I mean, I watched Mahomes miss Travis Kelce today wide open in the end zone, overthrew it. And, had that been Purdy, the national media would have been all over him. But and it should have cost them the game. They ended up having to kick a field goal, and they went up 16-14. That was the final score, because the Chiefs blocked the field goal by Denver with 1 second remaining, and it was a chip shot. It was basically an extra point. It was like 33 yards, and they blocked it. So,
good show tonight, guys. Thanks to Better. Thanks to Sharp Corners. Thanks to Pig in a Pickle. Check out Frank on the In the Dungeon show tonight at 9. Danny, when do you go live next on your channel?
Yeah, I'll be going live tonight. 8:00. We've got the great Ned Colletti joining us on a little Giants Dodgers, talking about some free agency. So you guys want to hear about what the Dodgers are going to do, and maybe what the Giants won't do? Join us.
I'll tell you, there's a Japanese pitcher named Sasaki who makes Yamamoto look like nothing. And supposedly he's going to, it's not a high price tag, but it's all a matter of where does the guy want to play. A lot of talk because he wants to play for the Dodgers, but Giants, hopefully the Giants could bid for, I think his name is Rory. Does that sound right? Rory Sasaki?
Roki
Sasaki. So yeah, pretty.
He'll
nasty.
be a Dodger. He'll be
100.
He'll be a Dodger.
So tune in tonight as Danny talks about how the Dodgers will be getting better. All right, that's going to do it. Have a great day, everybody. I'll be back. Let's see. Today is Sunday. I'll be back tomorrow with Wake Up with Damon, bright and early at 9. Probably stream tomorrow afternoon with Grant if he's back from Tampa in the afternoon. Niners Nightly tomorrow night at 6:00, and we'll do nothing but take your phone calls and talk about this game and give you your say after we hear from Shanahan yesterday or tomorrow after the presser. So have a great night. Niners get the win. It was an emotional day for sure, but at least the Niners get the win. For Frank and Danny and Kev, I'm Larry. Have a great day, everybody. Peace.
Never met a man I've been scared of.